Buongiorno. We are live here. We got a Dynasty startup mock draft. I'm in Sicily right now. Danny's of course back in Canada. We're just chilling here. We're having a startup mock draft. We're gonna do a draft with you guys. We got the link in the chat right now for anybody who wants to join. Danny, if you want to share your screen so they can see how many people are in the draft and stuff. The rules of the draft we will have on the screen. We're gonna go a little less crazy with the rules. For those of you guys that maybe play in pretty bog standard, like start 9, 4 point per passing touchdown, super flex, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex type of leagues, we're going to give you guys an idea of what that kind of draft would look like, because normally we're pulling out all the stops. We're going tight end premium. We're going 6 point. We're going start 11. We're going third round reversal. We're not going to do any of that crazy stuff today. We're just going to do a pretty bog standard super flex 12 team draft. And of course, you guys can join the draft here. We got a couple more spots still left, but yeah, I've been in Europe for 7 days now. I think it is currently 6 p.m. where I'm at. You guys are about noon on Saturday here. I will be here till June 11th, actually, so I'll still be here for a little bit, but I'm grinding the running back prospect model, and I got most of it set up so far in terms of all the metrics I'm going to collect. I have all the year 1 to 3 points per game collected for the running backs 2016 to 2023. I have all the keep trade cut values, peak keep trade cut values post year 1 collected. So now I'm starting to get into the actual collecting of the metrics and, setting the trend lines, which is something I talked about in the wide receivers to target and avoid video. I'm super excited because I think once I'm done this running back prospect model, what I want to do is either mid-season this year or even just right before the season, I want to run the 2025 prospects through the model and maybe just give them like a 5-10% increase, knowing that they still have another year of college football left to get a little bit better and kind of see what it spits out, like how good potentially we have of these like wide receiver prospects coming out, these running back prospects coming out. I think it should be really interesting to see that based even on just their sophomore data or whatever.
Well, I was going to say, like, the possibility too, of course, is like once, we're deeper in the summer, we're also going to be doing some summer scouting, kind of getting a sense on the 2025 class. And Bush, I'm not sure if you ended up watching my every move I've made in Dynasty video, but in that video, when I was talking about the Devy League, I said, if you guys want to see more Devy content, let us know. And a lot of people were giving us positive feedback on that, want to kind of see our takes in terms of like 2025 prospects, college football landscape, kind of giving some more input there, because a lot of the followers play Dynasty but maybe aren't as accustomed to Devy. And even if you don't play Devy, man, just knowing like what could be in store for 2025, the key standouts in 2026, like for example, when I had made a couple years ago back in 2022 the go acquire 2024 picks, now like that was big. The sole reason why I was doing is seeing what's in the college football landscape, seeing some of the young freshmen who just had great years. Like at the time on that video was like Brock Bauer, Travion Henderson, Caleb Williams, guys like that. And like getting that type of trend early and following those guys along goes a big way towards the overall market valuation for those picks. So give you guys a little bit more context for some of these players coming up. Like for example, this, upcoming 2025 class, maybe you're a little bit more accustomed to, but especially like 2026 guys, man, like there's a lot of young, talented guys that are going to be breaking out in the next couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So, Danny, if you want to randomize the draft order and we'll get this thing going here. Again, if you guys are just joining in, the rules are on the top left corner. It's going to be a pretty bog standard super flex draft. Start 9, no tight end premium, 4 point per passing touchdown, only 2 wide receiver slots as well. And 2 flexes. So we're not going to go super crazy. No third round reversal. None of that nonsense. I'm picking at an absolute classic 111 hole right here. So we're going to see what's going on. We do have some comments. We got Pionio saying that I'm glowing. Interesting. I got sunburnt at the beach yesterday.
You are very red.
I am. Yeah, I got sunburn yesterday. Bobcat says, good way to start a Saturday. Yes, sir. It's like literally like 6 p.m. where I am. So it's weird that you're saying start a Saturday. Achan for Ayuk for a rebuilding Dynasty team.
Good value.
Probably about a fair trade. I think I would slightly
younger.
I mean, Achan's a little younger, but he also plays running back. Like, I mean, it's pretty, I think that's pretty cut and dry. Both guys are like mid to late 3rd round, early 4th round type of startup picks. I think I would slightly prefer Ayuk, but it's close.
Same for me. If you're going to be moving Achan, because I'm assuming you said Achan for Ayuk, you're trying to say like, I want to move the running back for the wide receiver because I'm trying to rebuild. if you're going to
One
go that
quarterback makes it
direction,
closer for the running back as well here. He says 10 team, one quarterback start 9. Makes it a little bit more in favor of H-Ban in a one quarterback league too.
like, can you get Rome? Can you get Rome Odunze? Because if you can do that, I would probably rather do that. But then again, like if you can't get better than Brandon Ayuk, like Brandon Ayuk is still a wide receiver 12, wide receiver 13 overall in my ranking. So he's the type of guy that I don't even mind if you make this trade right now, seeing if he has a couple boom weeks early in the season with that San Fran offense, and maybe seeing if you can get, I mean, who knows? Maybe at some point in the year you can get Rome plus for him because Rome's having a bad start to the Bears and Ayuk has 500 yards in his first 4 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a little pissed that that Caleb just went one pick ahead of me. I'm gonna do something unconventional here, maybe, and I'm gonna take Marvin with my first pick, and kind of because I feel pretty neutral about the quarterbacks that are on the board there. Herbert, Richardson, Jordan Love, those type of guys. I'm confident I'll get one of those guys on the way back here, and then we'll be off and going. I have wanted to, like, I've been saying this all offseason that I've been wanting to experiment with kind of maybe fading my second quarterback a little. In our startup that me and you are in right now, I think we're in round, 14, 15, 16 or something.
Guys showing 17 now.
We could show the board at the end of the stream. We'll show the board. Yeah, at the end of the stream, we'll show the board. But I actually kind of faded QB a little bit, and I ended up with a nice core of Jordan Love, Tua Tagovailoa, Baker Mayfield, and Bo Nix, which I feel pretty good about. I think that's like a good mix of, safety and some upside there. So I'm on the board here. I never take Anthony Richardson, and I'm actually not going to now because Justin Herbert's here. So I'm going to grab Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I was going to say, Anthony Richardson, good pick. But if Herbert's going to fall to you, you'll take Herbert. But Anthony Richardson is a guy that I watched a little bit back on in terms of his 2023 season. And I expected, okay, is he going to be like the next Justin Fields, or can he be possibly the next Jalen Hurts? And I was watching back some of his 2023, and like the little things as a passer, I was really impressed with. Like he was staying in the pocket, he was delivering strikes down the field, he was getting through his progressions. Especially, I mean, he had a couple really, really tight window digs that he was hitting too, I believe, in the Rams game. So that gets me very, very encouraged. Seeing him being able to hand the intricacies of the position. Obviously, we know what he's able to do from an athletic standpoint. 6'5", 240, big time wheels. I think he ran a 4.42 at the combine. And we were able to see him really contribute early on in the rushing game. But the passing game particularly really impressed me. And just knowing how Shane Steichen was able to develop Jalen Hurts, give that nesting for that scheme. Obviously, the weapons on the outside. Now, do I think the Colts' weapons are right up to par with the Eagles? Not necessarily, but Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, I believe in A.D. Mitchell, better offensive line last year compared to they were the year before. And obviously, Jonathan Taylor being healthy with Shane Steichen, man. Like, I think we may be underrating Anthony Richardson a little bit. Like, this is a guy that was being talked about as the 108, 109 in startups by the end of the NFL season. And his value's kind of slipped now to like an early to mid second round pick. And maybe we were right all along. Maybe he should be at the back end of the first.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've thought would be a good video idea, and kind of spotting market inefficiencies when it comes to redraft underdog sharp ADP versus like dynasty startup ADP. And one kind of inefficiency that stood out to me a little bit is that Jordan Love goes behind Anthony Richardson in underdog, and he's also younger than Jordan Love as well. So why is Jordan Love going ahead in startups? Now, for me, because I have Jordan Love ranked over Anthony Richardson, it's more of I expect Jordan Love to get a massive contract here very soon, probably before the season starts. I believe in him more as a player. I think he's a safer asset. But again, from a raw fantasy production standpoint, if you believe that Anthony Richardson is the next Jalen Hurts, and like you kind of outlined there, he has the same coaching staff that developed Jalen Hurts. And, maybe if Justin Fields had a coaching staff like that, he would have turned into the next Jalen Hurts himself. Anthony Richardson has a chance really to be the 101, 102, 103 in startups. Like if he becomes a stud top 3 quarterback, top 7 quarterback in the NFL, just like Jalen Hurts ended up becoming. I mean, people were taking Jalen Hurts as the consensus 103 last year. He's pretty much the consensus 104 now. And Richardson also is like a lot younger. He's also got Shane Steichen there as the head coach, so he's not going to be leaving anytime soon. The weapons are young if they develop. Josh Downs and A.D. Mitchell end up turning into, solidified guys along with Pittman and Taylor. Richardson's difficult. I don't think he's underrated. I think he's properly rated. I think he should be an early second round startup pick, but I do feel like, I'm going to take, I should be more willing to take the swing than I have been. It's just more so that I prefer Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray that go in the same area. It's nothing really against Richardson.
No, it's just funny when you contextualize that he's the youngest of that group, and like he goes above Joe Burrow in underdog drafts. He goes above Justin Herbert. He goes above Jordan Love. He goes above Kyler Murray. He goes above all of these guys in terms of underdog drafts. A single quarterback setup. He's a quarterback 6 overall off the board. Like he's 22 years old. Like if he lives up to his underdog ADP, the guy's going to be a top 5 overall startup pick next year.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If he finishes as a top 5 quarterback, which all he would probably need to do is stay healthy for that to happen because he's going to run quite a bit. As long as he doesn't look like an absolute train wreck in terms of, how he looks from like a real life standpoint, which I saw enough from him last year to say that he's not going to look like a train wreck. But I would be concerned to some degree that we're still going to view him like potentially the same way where we're like, I don't know how good of a real life quarterback he is this time next year.
And sorry to rip the. Oh wait, never mind. Wait, Drake May's here too. Ooh,
so it's Trev, dude.
I know. I have Drake May higher, but I don't think I ever take Trev in these drafts. So
it's because
I would typically take May, but I'll pull a bushy here. I'll go with a Trev. I believe they're literally back to back for me, so it's not like it's a hot take.
Yeah, maybe people are screaming at me for not taking the Marvin Kyler Murray stack. Also, I didn't realize I probably should have done that when I took Herbert as my first quarterback there.
Yeah, I just realized that too. Like for the record, by the way, in terms of the quarterbacks, let me just see exactly. Yeah, like I have Drake May higher, but they're all really same tier. So pick your preference.
Yeah, same. Jake Brown says, "What up? I have Addison in a Superflex start 11 full PPR. I'm worried about him and looking to sell. Not getting anyone to accept my solid offers though. Should I just hold? I'm looking to compete in 2025. Yeah, I mean, if you're not getting, I would say mid to late firsts at minimum, like mid to late first for Jordan Addison as a cash out, I probably wouldn't sell him for anything less than that. Oh, why is there only one of us here? I'm trying to move me to the top right here just because I don't want us to be covered by the comments. For some reason, there's only one of us there. Anyways, whatever. I don't really care. But yeah, for me on Jordan Addison, I think Addison is the type of guy that everybody's kind of wising up on a little bit. And everybody's saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't put the cart before the horse on Jordan Addison. He hasn't really shown the ability to command targets at a super high level when Jefferson was on the field and that kind of thing. So I think people are all kind of coming around on Jordan Addison being a smidge overvalued in Dynasty, but I think it's going to be hard to sell somebody like that if everybody's thinking the same way.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was trying to add another overlay, but then I realized that we have reached the maximum of 8. I was trying to get that exact look that you were showing only with 2 of us in the top right corner. So my fault there if you guys saw me kind of fiddling with the overlays.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm on the board here. I think wide receiver is the direction I want to go because I don't love the rest of the board, quarterback and tight end wise and stuff. So I think it would be between probably, given that I have 2 young players here with Harrison and Herbert, I'm probably going to stay young either with Olave or Odunze. I'm going to roll with Odunze here. Maybe Olave slides back to me. I could always grab him too. Kind of unfortunate. I don't love not getting a second quarterback where I am here. To me, it's just a smidge too early, not because of like the part of the draft we are. Like I think late third is fine for Tua, JJ McCarthy and guys like that. It's more so who's on the board at wide receiver that I can't really pass on. Yeah,
no, 100%. I will say though, Rome Odunze 311, more than comfortable making that pick again. Like if we're comfortable taking Malik inside, I mean, he goes 3-4 here. I've seen Malik Neighbors in a lot of drafts I've been in go inside the second round. Marvin, like you said, Marvin Harrison, not Marvin. Marvin Harrison, like you said, going at the 111. Like Rome Odunze, while he's not those guys level in terms of prospects, in my opinion, is the tick under. If you're going to give Marvin A+, Malik an A, Rome Odunze is an A-. You know what I'm saying? In terms of prospect value.
Absolutely.
And he's still top 10 pick.
I mean, yeah, and in the prospect model, we showed that like his prospect profile of a wide receiver 1 upside prospect has 60% chance that he's going to be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, keeping in mind that Drake London and Garrett Wilson were also of the same prospect profile who haven't yet done that yet, who we project to do that this year. So, Odunze, pretty much the guys in his territory are all like Devontae Smith types who have already hit, AJ Brown types who have already hit caliber prospect that we're looking at here. So I was hoping one of Ayuk or Collins or Olave fell back to me. That's exactly what ended up happening. So I'm going to grab Brandon Ayuk here and feel pretty good about it. I definitely could have gone with like a JJ McCarthy, could have gone with like a Tua Tagovailoa, but to me, I think that was a smidge early over that top tier wide receiver still.
Did we get to this comment yet? Sorry.
Yeah, that was the Addison talk I was talking about.
Just making sure.
IDUP said, "Are we worried about Worthy's hammy injury in OTAs?" I don't really care about injuries in OTAs unless they're serious injuries. I don't really care.
Come August, you start injuring your hammy. That's when I start getting concerned because maybe it's a Christian
Especially
Watson
with rookies.
situation. But
yeah, especially with rookies too. You don't want them missing like crucial kind of development
JSN,
time.
JSN.
Yeah, JSN. Yeah, the wrist, or was it wrist injury that he had last year?
Wrist injury hampered him early. Didn't really get full snaps right away. Struggled even when he got full snaps coming off that injury. And we did see him. I mean, especially I believe it was week 9, week 10 on. JSN put together a couple really good fantasy weeks, and one of them would have been even better if he ends up completing that play against the Cowboys. Obviously, that touchdown was not counted, and DK Metcalf ended up scoring a 1-yarder the week I played him, so that wasn't fun.
Dude, I feel so good about JSN in best ball. Like in Dynasty, I'm a little hesitant still because his price tag is still pretty high. Man. But like, dude, in best ball, man, like he's like a 7th, 8th round pick, and I feel really comfortable paying that price tag.
For sure. So how can I join a Devy league? Can't find any. The best way to do it is through the Flock Discord. Now, obviously, it's going to be more common that people are starting Dynasty startups versus Devy ones, but I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of like-minded people in that Discord. If you float around the idea like, hey, I want to start a Devy league, who's interested in starting a Devy league, you could easily get 11 other people from that Discord. Like we have a lot of active people in there asking questions every day, talking, confronting each other. So I genuinely think if you floated that idea around, you should be able to get that 11 other people.
I'm a little annoyed that I can't just join as many Dynasty leagues as I want to, because I would actually love to do a Devy startup, and I'm a little pissed we didn't. I'm pissed we didn't do it for this most recent one.
We could do a Devy next year.
Yeah, we could do a Devy next year for sure, because we're already in one now, and I actually like kind of really love my team in that league.
It's fun. Same.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Like the guys that I have in the pipeline, I feel so good about. Like I think I have 3 of the top 5 receivers in next year's class, and like I drafted Emeka Egbuka high in the startup last year, in the Devy startup last year, because I thought he was going to be in this year's class, and then he ends up going back to school because he was hurt. But I also got Trey Harris from Ole Miss, who is getting a lot of like late first round buzz for a lot of NFL draft nicks, and Elik Yomenor on Stanford, who went off against Travis Hunter in Colorado. I'm seeing a lot of NFL draft analysts, Damian Parson from the Draft Network. I saw Jim Nagy talking about him as well, who runs the Senior Bowl. I'm seeing him get a lot more buzz now too. So I really feel comfortable that, outside of Luther Burden and Tet McMillan, I think I have a chance at, wide receiver 3 through 5 in this class.
Yeah, I mean, the other guy I really like, obviously, because I took him in this draft particularly, but I know Ricky White's been getting some buzz. Initially a Michigan State recruit, had a couple spike weeks on Michigan State. I believe one of them was actually against Michigan. I remember the name Ricky White actually doing pretty well against us. Goes to UNLV, has, I believe, 1,500 yards this past year. Could have declared for the draft, ended up going back for a following year because, UNLV, smaller school. Typically, we see that happen a lot where these guys who are performing at these small schools, the NFL typically wants to see them have a second year of production. So that's what I see happening. I believe it was, I'm drawing a blank. PFF Mike. Well,
Mike Runner.
Mike Runner. He actually had him mocked in the first round. So pretty interesting to see what ends up developing, because not a lot of people are talking about this wide receiver class, but I do think it has some hidden upside. But I'm on the clock.
Yeah, we didn't mention Tez Johnson or Evan Stewart either, too, who are both getting some decent buzz. And Isaiah Bond transferred to Texas. He has a chance to have a big season.
For sure. I thought I got Q White for a second there, but Trey McBride, 4th round, I'll take it. JJ McCarthy's still available too, but I have 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. I probably would have just taken him if I were you, to be honest. I'm still pissed.
I'll let you guys go.
Yeah, I'm still pissed, dude, that I traded Devontae. I traded away my Devy first last year, at the early portion of the offseason for Devontae Adams and Raheem Mostert, because I'm trying to turn over into a competitive team. The reason I traded it is because at 105, I didn't think there was a chance in hell I was getting Ollie Gordon or Ashton Jeanty, and Ashton Jeanty fell to that pick, who I traded to Brock, and I'm so mad that I traded that pick, because I would have loved to have Ashton Jeanty in my running back stable. I have Taj Brooks now from Texas Tech, and I did get Pacheco. So I traded. What I ended up doing to kind of correct this trade, because I'm annoyed that I ended up doing it, is I traded away Devontae Adams subsequently and my Devy 2nd this year coming up, in exchange for Isaiah Pacheco and a Devy 3rd. Is what I ended up doing. So I essentially swapped my Ashton Jeanty for Isaiah Pacheco, which maybe if you're more risk averse, you're like, just give me the guaranteed production. My team's going to be competitive this year. But I do have a feeling that we could be talking about Ashton Jeanty as a legitimate 101 candidate this year.
Tell me right now, when you see this college football 25, the first thing you're doing right away is just using teams with your Devy players on it.
Maybe, yeah, that could be a play.
Like, ooh, I just broke somebody's ankles with Jordan James and ripped 53 off the edge. Let's go, baby. He's going to be a stud next year for my team.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Leonardo says, good morning, boys. How's it going? Good evening to you, sir. Earliest you take Daniels in a startup? I think
About
him
where he
going
went
early third is probably about the earliest I would take. I personally wouldn't take him over Trevor Lawrence, but I'm
Or
fine
Drake.
doing it. Or Drake May. Yeah, I'm personally fine
Or
doing it over
Neighbors.
Dak and Purdy, though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, if you were to take May, Lawrence, Neighbors for me, like, I would take him over McCaffrey. I would take him over Brown. I'd take him over Laporta.
JT and Hill, I'd be taking him over as well.
Yeah, for sure. But those guys went after, to be fair. But yeah.
Also, in our startup that we're doing right now, you guys, once we show it at the end of this draft, you'll see that I took the Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle stack, and Jalen Waddle just got an extension. So I feel pretty good about that. And I think Tua is probably going to get his very soon as well.
Yeah, for sure. What is Deshaun Watson's value in a Superflex dynasty? We've talked about this before, but he's the type of player where he's not worth a first, but if you sell him for a single second, you feel like you'd want more.
Absolutely.
That's the best way to describe him.
I would be okay if you were in a situation where, let's say, you had like Will Levis and Joe Burrow as your quarterback.
Send the 203 for him.
I'd be okay sending like the 112 for him. Maybe you could get like a small piece back or something. I think the bottom line is with Deshaun Watson. You're on the clock, by the way. The bottom line is with Deshaun Watson. He's still a rushing quarterback, man. Like, he's still a quarterback that has a super high fantasy ceiling, that has been a top 5 quarterback 3 straight years prior to all this nonsense that happened. I don't know if he's ever going to get back to that. That's the problem. Like, I don't know, but if he does, he's going to be the biggest steal in dynasty startups ever.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like, were we just a year too early on it? Because we were all over him last year, right? Like, I'm not going to say, oh, he's still rusty, and I'm not going to make any excuses for how he's played. He's played like shit. But if he does get back to whatever his previous level was in Houston, then we're talking about a guy who, if you can get him for a singular first or a early second, it's going to look like nothing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, he is the biggest volatility piece, because there's only 2 scenarios after this year, by the way. He's worth a first or more, or he's worth nothing because the Browns move on. Those are the 2 scenarios.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah, I think legitimately the scenario is that he's back to his old self, or he's legit like not on the Browns next year. Like, I seriously think it could be a Russell Wilson situation where like maybe there's some stuff in his contract where they don't want an injury I mean, his whole contract is guaranteed, so it probably doesn't matter. But I could see them like benching him at the end of the year for like DTR.
Well, I mean, they have Jameis too.
They have Jameis too. Yeah, but like dude, Watson is such a difficult case. I think he is the easily him, and like, if I made the all polarizing team, the quarterback is Watson, the tight end is Pitts for sure.
Yeah.
Who are the running back? Who's the most polarizing running back and wide receiver in Dynasty right now?
In Dynasty?
Yeah.
Specifically. Okay. Because in redraft, obviously, Josh Jacobs probably the most polarizing running back right now. Like, people have said he's not
a lot of people are talking about him.
Yeah. In terms of Dynasty, I mean,
I think T. Higgins is rather polarizing for a lot of people. I think Rashee Rice is probably the answer. Rashee Rice is probably the answer at wide receiver.
Kyron at running back, 100%. Kyron Williams.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good. I think Achan's potentially there
too. If you look a little bit lower on, I would say people are pretty polarized on Kenneth Walker, pretty polarized on.
I think people just don't like Kenneth Walker. JSN is a good answer to this question too, and wide receiver.
Another wide receiver. I mean, let's look at the top of Puka Nacua right off the bat is a top wide receiver that's very polarized, because some people think he's a fluke and some people think he's the next coming, and I tend to lean on the latter.
I think Olave and Adunze are both pretty polarizing at the top of the and even London a little bit too, in terms of the top of the wide receiver position.
Nico's another one. People think that he's just automatically going to be the 2 to Diggs, or people think he's a superstar talent like I do. So that's another one.
I actually like that turn that Schmidt hits there with the Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Pacheco. I like that.
Tony Pollard's another good one, by the way. Sean says Tony Pollard.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. You know what? I'm gonna actually do it, I think.
What are you doing?
Maybe I don't want to do it. Hold on. I'm looking around here at the board.
You always got to do it. Come on. Take Worthy. Bro, what?
No. What I was gonna say, I have to do it, is this.
Oh God.
I think I'm just doing it to make a point. I probably would take a couple other players that are on the board right now, but
over Levis.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think I would take Levis
okay.
in a vacuum over Watson, but at the same time, the ceiling is higher for Watson still. It is
Yeah.
still higher than Levis's ceiling because he runs, right?
No,
Like,
that's
the
definitely
ceiling
fair.
for Watson is that he's right back to being a first round startup pick. And it's funny, this is like Cleveland Browns day, apparently, because I tweeted out, do you know that Nick Chubb, among all
I saw
running
that.
backs in NFL history, is literally like 9th in career yards per game?
Yeah, dude, he's literally one of the best running backs of all time. Like I already,
He
like,
legitimately. So I in best ball and in Dynasty, he is so unbelievably affordable to the point that I'm like, dude, this is the first year I've ever been in on Nick Chubb. I swear to God.
In our recent Dynasty startup, you guys will see at the end, I ended up getting Nick Chubb at the 11-4. And I mean, I didn't have another pick. So my last pick was 13-3. I didn't have another pick to the 17-2. And I still somehow got Jerome Ford to fall to me at the 17-2. So the risk of taking Chubb now, Ford at the 17-2 in his own right, I think is a good standalone pick. But the fact that I also have Chubb, he's coming off that big injury. And did you know Ford was like the RB16 in fantasy last year?
Yeah, he was.
So like, even if Chubb comes out slow out of the gates, like I got Ford at the 17-2. You know what I mean?
No, it's pretty insane how cheap the Browns backfield is for an offensive line that is one of the best in the NFL. Like Chubb. So JM Thrive like quote tweeted me. He's like, the injury is like a real deal with Nick Chubb. I'm like, I don't disagree with you. Like, obviously it's a bad injury. It's the same knee he blew out in college. Bad.
Yeah.
So
it's a very bad
terrible.
injury.
He also didn't have surgery until November because there was a lot of like swelling and stuff like that. So it's not like, oh, he suffered the injury week 2. He's going to be back ready for the start of the season. Like, it's still an uphill battle. But at the same time, if you think about it logically, am I going to bet on the average running back to come back from an injury like this at 28 years old or 27 years old or however old he is? No. But am I going to bet on a future Hall of Fame running back coming back from an injury like this when the price tag is outside of the top 10 rounds in startups and outside of the top 8 to 9 rounds in redraft and best ball? I'll do it if this is the price point. It's Javonte Williams bet all over again, except Javonte Williams was a 6th round pick in
and
redraft.
An inferior talent
and a worse offense.
Yeah. So I hate throwing this around, but last time I remember, and when Adrian Peterson suffered his torn ACL, it was a multi-ligament tear, correct?
It was, yeah.
It was a multi-ligament tear, and the year after, he ends up breaking the NFL record, or second in the NFL record for rushing yards in a season and won MVP. Now, again, that's not the expectation I have for Nick Chubb, but at the same time, if you're going to talk, are you going to talk about? Wait, what?
I said, could he do it though?
That's what I'm saying. It's like he's the type of talent to be able to do so. Also, Lau McConkey at the 6'8" is free, but he's the type of talent to be able to do it. He's the type of guy that can squat 450 for fucking 20 reps. The guy that can bench 300 plus pounds for reps. Like, the guy is one of the biggest alien athletes we have seen in the NFL. Period. 5'10", 225-pound dude that is strong as an ox, that ran in the 4.4s. Like, he is one of the freakiest athletes. So if one person is going to overcome that multi-ligament tear, to me, it's going to be Nick Chubb. And like you were saying, the opportunity cost is so low that downside risk scenario, Chubb doesn't amount to anything. I got him at the 11-4 in our startup.
I got him at the 13-4 in our Flock Me Silly startup. 13-4, I got him at.
We were taking Dalvin Cook in the 11th, 12th round last year after he signed with the New York Jets.
Yeah. The cost is so, like, I would totally understand if someone's quote tweeting me, calling me an idiot, if Nick Chubb was a 5th round pick right now, which is like 3-4 years ago, that's where he would be going, by the way. Like, the market has sharpened up. And again, maybe home league, casual leagues, people are still stupid enough to take him that high. But in relatively sharp leagues, like I know my home league won't touch him until like round 6, 7, 8, until maybe he starts to become intriguing. But it's like, dude, if you miss on your 7th or your 8th round pick in a home redraft league, or your 9th or your 10th round pick in a best ball league, or your 11th or your 13th round startup pick in a dynasty league, like, who fucking cares? Like, it's literally not going to matter. And Nick Chubb could legit like still be an RB1 this year. Like, it wouldn't shock me at all.
It wouldn't shock me either. So we got a couple comments. We'll catch up while it's not on our picks. Brian says, I have Josh Allen, Herbert, and Baker, JT Walker, Connor, etc. at running back. CD Amon, AJ Keenan, etc. at wide receiver, and then Kittle at tight end. 12 team Superflex PPR. Should I do anything or chill and try to win? I mean, you have a really good roster from what I see you listed there. There's nothing that sticks out to me, to be honest. Like, does anything
Herbert.
stick out to you here? Like, maybe you want to
Her-
upgrade Herbert's
yeah,
point production this year?
I think knowing that Dynasty startup ADP suggests that like Herbert and Anthony Richardson and Caleb Williams and Jordan Love and Kyler Murray are all going in the same area. Like Herbert projects the worst out of those guys, and one of them is a rookie. Like I would straight take Caleb Williams over Justin
Easily.
Herbert in
Yes.
redraft this year. So I
Yeah.
mean, knowing that Richardson and Love and Murray specifically are like top 6-7 quarterbacks for me in redraft, in addition to being as young as Herbert is, I would probably maybe try and pivot off of Herbert a little bit because I am worried that, the Chargers are not going to throw the ball a whole lot. I'm worried that he's not going to have the requisite pass catching options to be able to propel him to anything more than like a 20. Like, is Herbert going to look like a stud quarterback still? Probably. But
Yeah.
there's also the risk that he loses value this year in Dynasty because he has like a quarterback 16 finish.
Well, to me, Herbert is the one piece that the reason why he's still going in the top half, like the top 15 of drafts, top 12 in a lot of rooms, is that everybody can pretty much agree he's an elite talent. He's a top 4 to 5 quarterback. Even if you're low on him, like he's quarterback 6 in your rankings. It's not like, oh, you're low on him, he's quarterback 13 in the league. Like everybody recognizes from a pure talent standpoint what Herbert represents. He's still 25 years old. The problem is that if you have him in a competing window, which I actually do in our FSC Listener League Dyno, he also is going off the board as what, quarterback 15 or 16 on Underdog. So you're getting a guy who's going to be 26 after the year. Maybe he's a high-end quarterback 2 or low-end quarterback 1. And then at one point, does he fall to Anthony Richardson, to Kyler Murray, if they have top 8 to 10 level point per game seasons? I think that's going to be pretty quick. So for me, I believe in Herbert. I still personally, if I have to draft him and hold him, would value him as a first-round pick. But because there's a trading aspect and because there's a market value aspect, you have to consider the fact that Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray will most likely be valued higher than him after the season.
Yeah, in a rebuilding-ish window, I would say Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson are okay pivots to make, especially if you can, like in some leagues, you're going to get those guys plus for Herbert because Herbert is a known quantity, he's a known option. And then in competitive leagues, like I think you should be able to get a sizable plus on top of on top of Kyler Murray for Justin Herbert right now. I think you should be able to get Kyler Murray plus very easily for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. He's a weird piece right now for sure because there's no denying, quote unquote, of me in the past. There is no denying the talent. But
absolutely. What would you pay for Christian Kirk in Dynasty? I mean, I've been saying early 2 for a long ass time on Christian Kirk because I think you're talking a bog standard 13 to 15 point per game projection this year. Maybe tapers off if Brian Thomas has like a big rookie season or whatever. But to me, I think that Christian Kirk is just such a proven target earner in an offense with a quarterback that I expect to play a lot better this year. So I like Kirk as like a lot of he's more valuable in a league with like 3 wide receivers, 3 flexes, PPR type of format.
Like for what it's worth, I have him at my wide receiver 38 overall, and the rookies right in front of him are Xavier Legette and Keon Coleman. But if you're in a competitive window and you want to argue Kirk over Coleman or Legette, I wouldn't really fight you on that. So hence, I mean, Coleman for me is, I believe, the 202 or 201 in my rankings right now. Legette's like the 203. So you're doing the valuation there. If you can get him any cheaper than that, you could probably get him for like the 206 straight up on the clock right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Sebastian here says that he's on the clock in a rookie draft saying Marshawn Lloyd is off the board, Malachi Corley or Jermaine Burton. My answer to this question is not in the answer, and that would be Jalen McMillan if he's still there. But Malachi Corley is who I would pick if you have to decide between Burton. These 2 players. I prefer Jalen McMillan to both of them, though.
Yeah, no, I would agree with McMillan, but I also, if I had to take either straight up, I personally would still go with Burton because in terms of the projection, if they move on from Higgins, he fulfills that deep role for a team that likes to stretch vertically, especially with Joe Burrow under the helm. So for me, it's like, yeah, is Jermaine Burton a volatile bet? Sure, but I also think Malachi Corley is, and who's going to get the more valuable targets in their respective offenses? I tend to lean Jermaine Burton. So for me, it's just going to be Burton.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I'm just a little bit lower on Burton. Henry says, I can't believe I always watch these. I don't play Superflex Dynasty, and I've not done a startup in years. I appreciate you watching. And if you guys are watching, also hit the like button. And I dropped the Underdog sign-up link in the chat because there is a ton of contests going on Underdog right now. I believe they just dropped a contest, a 5-entry max $6 entry. The Hound Dog, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There's so many names going fast and furious on there, but $6 entry, man. Like you can get a good, nice taste of some best ball drafts over there, and of course, Best Ball Mania.
Kind of wish
5.
we got into some.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, you were just there in Buffalo. I wish we would have gotten into some as well. I'm on the board here, and I'm looking at the board. God, I don't really love anybody. I kind of pivoted to like a contending strategy, which is a little weird, but oh, actually, you know what? I do love someone on the board right now, and that would be Trey Benson. So I'm going to grab him. I have like kind of like a 1 year puntish type of build.
Ambiguity. Which team are you in the draft? Because you said you didn't grab Hill. Are you like iHeems or Native Kid or MF Bryco? Like, let me know. Rip. Is Daniels? I mean, I think that's like I said, that's probably the earliest I would be able to draft him myself. Like I still would take Drake May in your spot there, but if you do prefer Jaden to Drake, I understand taking him at the 2-3 turn. It's just I've seen some people say, yeah, he should be valued where like Kyler Murray and A Richard. I just can't get on board there.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page. I can't get on board that early for me.
Do you have any hot takes for this upcoming season? And I actually made this one in a group chat, but I'll let you know this right now, Corey. And if Jared's watching in the chat, he'll be absolutely happy hearing this from me. I hate this team with a passion, but every time I look at the Green Bay Packers roster, I look at their weapons, I look at their play calling, I look at their overall coaching, and I look at the talent that I think Jordan Love can develop into this year. Like my hot take is Jordan Love's going to win MVP and the Packers are going to win the NFC.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Jordan Love and the Packers is somebody that as a team that I'm also quite high on myself.
Yeah, I mean, like if you can get Jordan Love at really, really good odds for MVP right now, which I don't actually know the odds off by heart. I can check it right now for you while you give some commentary, Bush. I will see what DraftKings kind of lists them at in terms of MVP odds because I don't think they're quite high enough right now. That's all I'm going to say.
And sorry, we skipped over Brian's question because I noticed he mentioned it later. Did we?
Yeah. No.
Right. We did. Yeah, we said this is the Justin Herbert one. Yeah, hopefully we got you some answers on that one, Brian. If I had to come up with a hot take for the season, I mean, I kind of just alluded to it. I think that Nick Chubb might go 2012 Adrian Peterson. That's my hot take for the season. Is that I think that Nick Chubb is actually gonna defy the odds of the second ACL tear on his left knee. In the last 10 years because he had one in college that was really bad as well.
Yeah, no, I dig that take for sure. Here, awards, right? Awards.
Almost took Rome over Drake for the stack. Yeah, I don't think I would have been able to do that.
MVP odds. Okay, this is going to shock you. I actually didn't even realize he was this high, but even still at these odds, I feel good. Can you guess where Jordan Love is valued in terms of regular season MVP right now?
Like 5 or 6.
Number 5 overall. The only 4 with better odds.
Can I try and guess them?
There's only 4 with better odds, and then he's tied with a couple guys.
Okay, so Mahomes is obviously one of them.
Yep.
I think that Josh Allen Burrow probably ahead of him.
Yep, and there's one more.
Jalen Hurts?
No.
Dak?
No. AFC. It's pretty obvious.
AFC, pretty obvious. What am I blind?
Who do you think
Lamar
the
Jackson.
public?
Lamar Jackson.
No. Who do you think the public would be betting up?
It's not Lamar Jackson?
It's not Lamar.
What the?
He's tied with Jordan Love.
Justin Herbert?
No. Dude, once you hear the name, you're going to be like, oh, no fucking shit. Of course it's this guy.
Hold on. Don't tell me it. I'm trying to think here. Okay, don't tell me the division, actually. AFC East? Tua?
Nope. Dude, you're going to kick yourself.
CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
CJ Stroud. So those are the 4 that are headed from him. He's tied for 5th with Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy at plus 1,400. And then it's Hurts, Rodgers, Dak, all in the plus 1,500, plus 1,600 range. Justin Herbert plus 1,800, Tua plus 2,200. And hear me out. The other one I really love at fucking value, Anthony Richardson at plus 3,000, man. Plus 3,000. Trevor is also plus 3,000.
I like those too.
Yeah, those
AFC
are
South
really
about to go brazy this year. Apparently, we just like all the quarterbacks in this division.
Oh yeah.
Which wide receivers do you think have the best chance to rise into that top 3 elite tier in Dynasty? I mean, the easy answer is Marvin, but I would say Garrett Wilson also has a chance to do it this year if he has a monster season. I think both of the other 2 rookie receivers have a chance as well, Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze. I think Drake London has a chance. If Drake London has a monster season this year, I think he has a chance to become like a bona fide wide receiver, like top 5 wide receiver in Dynasty. If he drops a 1,500-yard, 11 touchdown season with Kirk Cousins this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Mason's in the chat here. He goes, "How's the vacation going?" Good. So he mentioned we're like meeting in like a day or two because we're discussing some new site features, and he's like, "You've been to more countries in the last 3 months that I've been to in my life," which I thought was funny as hell. How long have I been there? So I was in Madrid, Spain for about 3 days. I got there on what day was it? May 26th. And well, it was technically May 27th because it was 6 hours ahead and I lost a night of sleep, which sucked ass. And then I left Madrid on the Wednesday, I think, on the 29th. And I've been in Palermo, Sicily for this is my 3rd day here, I think. And I'll be here until June 10th.
You're living my dream, man. I haven't even been to Italy and I'm Italian.
Oh, dude, it's the food here is so good, man.
No, when you posted that bruschetta, I was like, fuck you, bro.
We made that. Me and Maria made that. We didn't even actually go buy that anywhere.
But
we bought the ingredients at the store.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can tell when the ingredients are just different, and that looked like Italian ingredients. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, we went to.
It's just so much fresher.
Also, I'm happy to report that my horrible pronunciation of Italian is going by the wayside out here.
No, wait. John Luggie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we're going to some. If anybody ever goes to Palermo, I got some great recs for you here. Cafeteria del Corso is an unbelievable coffee shop. Dude, I don't even drink. I'm a tea drinker. I literally drink tea. And I am like shitting my the cappuccino is so fucking good here. I'm literally drinking coffee and I literally drink tea at home.
Hey, I'm just glad you didn't call it Pale Ermo. That's all I'm happy with. I was low-key expecting you to say, "Yeah, I'm just in Pale Ermo right now."
No, I went. So Danny, the sandwich the bruschetta that I made, we got some fresh basil, some fresh mozzarella from the Mercato del Campo, or I think is what it's called. I'm getting some decent ones out here. I'm getting some decent Italian phrases going.
Yeah, I fucking love it. By the way, I couldn't even get any of these running backs to fall back to me. You guys are making me reach down the board. It is a shallow draft, so it's not like I could just keep punting this position. You know what? Let me get some point equity. Fuck. They're all redraft running backs anyways at this point. May as well get the one that projects the best.
Yeah, fair.
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara, indeed. Henry says, 1 quarterback PPR tight end premium IDP, 12 teams. Would you trade Tony Pollard in 2025 first, second, and third to get the 103?
Yes.
In a heartbeat, my friend. Yes. I would. Go get Roman, presumably. Yeah.
Big Roman.
Y'all may as well give up in the Devy League because I'm going to run it soon. Yeah, like once I get Janty into the league. Brock, I'll give you whatever you want to watch Ashton Janty being on my... Like, I'm literally willing to lose the trade straight, bro. Like, I want Janty on my Devy team more than I want anything.
Bro, I was offering Brock for Janty, and everything I threw out his way, he just replied, "Nah." Like, good luck, man. You're not.
I don't care. Janty. I'll give you whatever you want, Brock. I don't care. Other than like Malik Neighbors or something.
No, that's all good. Brock's gonna ask for feet picks, and you'll be set.
Also, the one thing that if you guys have never played in a Devy League, the most satisfying feeling of all time is just crushing a Devy pick out of the park. Dude, I drafted Malik Neighbors at the 210 in the Devy startup last year.
That was wild.
And he turned into an absolute superstar. So that feels pretty good. I wish we could track the Sanders in the 5th round too.
Yeah, I wish we could track the startup, man. I wanted to see exactly who went where. I know, for example, I got Drake May in the 1st round. Donovan Edwards in the 2nd. I ended up hitting on a couple really big ones too. Like, for example, like Keon Coleman was a guy that wasn't really on many people's radar leaving Michigan State. But when I was watching Jaden Reed, I was like, Keon Coleman can play on the other side. So obviously he doesn't have a great statistical year once he transfers to Florida State because A, Jordan Travis when he was healthy is bad, and B, when he was not healthy, they just couldn't throw the ball on offense at all. But hitting on Keon Coleman, seeing him go where he did in the NFL draft, 33rd overall, definitely really helped in terms of the valuation. Because I remember when I made the pick, Ron literally asked me, like, who is that?
Yeah, no, my picks were in the first round. I think at 106 or 107, I took Emeka Egbuka, who obviously went back to school, but he's going to be a top receiver in next year's class. In the second round, I took Malik Neighbors. In the third round, I traded up, I think, a little bit to get Jatavian Sanders, and then I didn't have a pick in the fourth, so I picked 3 times at the end of the fifth and twice in the sixth round. I got KJ Jefferson, Shadur Sanders, and Jackson Dart, and I feel pretty confident that 2 of those guys, specifically Sanders and Jackson Dart, could legitimately end up being first-round quarterbacks in this coming draft class. Because I think really outside of Carson Beck, it's like kind of wide open for like who could potentially turn into a first-round QB. And I think Sanders and Dart, from some of the draft analysts that I've seen, are both getting legitimate like top 3-4 quarterback buzz in the class. And I think Dart has a chance to really take a big step this year. And he's a toolsy guy. Quinshon Judkins leaves from Ole Miss to Ohio State. They bring in Juice Wells on transfer. Trey Harris, I talked about at wide receiver, going to have a big year this year. I'm on the clock right now, and I'm literally about to troll. I'm just going to take Tajay Spears because I'm running out of time.
Good pick.
But yeah, don't feel too bad about that one. And then Mason asked, how many dynasty leagues are y'all in? I've been having to cut back 3 straight years. So hard to find the time now. I believe I'm in 12 as well.
12.
I'm in 11 dynasty leagues and 1 Debbie league. Actually,
what point do you think you're going to max out and you're just not going to take any more startups?
I would actually like to stop at 12. So my goal this year, I'm competitive in like I think 7 of my 12 leagues, and 3 of the 7 that I'm competitive in are leagues that I wouldn't mind leaving. So I'm hoping I can cash out, win the championship, and leave if I can.
Fair enough. And there's a couple like pre FSC leagues that like, okay, like not really engaged in league chat. Like I know what you mean there.
Yeah, I'm thinking tight end. I hate tight ends so much, but I think knowing that I have Watson here, I think I got to grab Njoku.
Yeah, for sure. Where else did we leave off here?
Let me get in on a Debbie league. Yeah, if we start one up next year, we'll definitely let you guys know.
Sure.
Amazing. Pacheco was a 7th rounder and CH a 1st rounder, and Pacheco is the stud running back we all thought CH would have been. Dude, I'm so glad CH happened, because if CH didn't happen, Pacheco would be like the RB4 in Dynasty right now.
Yeah, facts.
Like by the public, everybody's so scarred from CH that we're like, oh my God, Chiefs running back can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, for the record, if Pacheco went in the 1st round and CH went in the 7th, and Pacheco still did what he did, he would probably be in that tier with at least Jonathan Taylor, at the very least. So
yeah.
Did you guys say you wouldn't take Daniels over May? All 9 rookie drafts I was in this year, and everyone. Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a market inefficiency at this point. I think Drake May is closer to Caleb Williams than Jaden Daniels is to him in terms of talent. They both get similar draft capital. I understand why people are pushing Jaden Daniels up the board from an athletic standpoint, potential Konami code standpoint, but I just thought Drake May was such a superior prospect, and people were
also runs too. He's not like he's a pocket passer.
800 rushing yards in his junior season.
You're on the
800. But I just feel like Drake May is the biggest market inefficiency right now. So I want to load up on him when he's a 3rd round startup pick, because I think he's going to be a 1st round soon, first and foremost. But I mean, we're just talking about Nick Chubb. I may as well just grab him here. Grab Nick Chubb. I debated
taking him with my last pick because I also have Watson there. I also, for what it's worth, Henry plays in 1 quarterback league. So, I mean, Daniels maybe gets a little bit more because of the rushing. He maybe factors in a little bit more. Every single rookie draft I was in, except for 1, Drake May was taken over Jaden Daniels. So I've seen everybody saying, oh, Daniels went over Drake May in all my rookie drafts, but I don't know, maybe it's because like we have influence on how you guys maybe draft a little bit, and most of the leagues I'm in are listener leagues with you guys, but Drake May literally went over Jaden Daniels in every single one of my leagues except for 1.
Yeah. Matt also super chats here. He says thoughts on quarterback value in a 10 PPR Superflex versus 12. I have Allen, Richardson, and Daniels. No flex or running back at all. Still taking May at 8-10 if he falls.
8-10.
Absolutely, because 8-10 is a joke. 8-10 is absolutely a joke. What you do here, again, obviously in a 12 team versus a 10 team, it's not going to be as valued in a 10 team versus a 12. Just inherently, there's less quarterbacks that are going to actually hold value, because only 20 per week versus 24 can be started on a weekly basis. So obviously the value is going to be different. However, like Corey said, if you're getting Drake May at the 8-10, you are trading Anthony Richardson or Jaden Daniels 1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can probably, I would imagine, get your pick of the litter at running back, maybe outside of the top guys in a 10-teamer. In a 12-teamer, you should have your pick of the litter at the running back position. But in a 10-teamer, maybe they are a little bit less likely to give you like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Breece Hall or whatever for Anthony Richardson or for Jaden Daniels. But yeah, if people are going to be that low on Drake May, I'm just going to take the value at that point.
Yeah, I don't know how you pulled this off, by the way, Sean, but give me McBride every time,
That's crazy.
even knowing Deshaun has a ton of value. What do you guys think of my boy Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma? Admittedly, I haven't watched much, but I know he ended
I
up
did
getting
some
a little bit of
research on
snaps
him
last year.
actually when
High
I did some
recruit, I know
research on
that.
him during our Devi draft. I don't know. I wasn't overly impressed.
Yeah, I mean, like he had a couple interesting games at the end there, I believe. No,
Is he undersized? Am I mixing him up with someone else? He kind of undersized.
6'1", 210. He's kind of like Baker
Okay,
size.
so I know he's a big receiver then.
Quarterback.
Oh, he's a quarterback. Oh, I'm trolling.
Jackson
Never mind.
Arnold. Yeah.
I definitely didn't do any. There's a receiver at Oklahoma that I did research.
Nick Anderson.
On. Nick Anderson. That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about that. Jackson Arnold is he at like a 2027 prospect then?
2026. So he was a high recruit last year. Got a little bit of time at the end of the season, and he's expected to be the starter going into this year. It's tough. He could either be Drake May or he could just be Spencer Rattler. Like, you don't know. It's hard. Like, that's the thing with me. I did end up taking 2 quarterbacks. Though, to be fair, one of them, Jalen Daniels, is definitely going to come out in the NFL draft after this season. So it's just kind of the Jaden Daniels bet, in my opinion. The one that I'm, intrigued by, but recognize there's a low floor, similar situation to Jackson Arnold, would be when I took Lenore Sellers. He's expected to be the starting quarterback for South Carolina this year. Had some rushing yards, efficient passer in his limited time last year, filling in for Spencer Rattler, I believe, at the end of a couple games. They're saying all the right things about him, but like I just said, in terms of Jackson Arnold, trying to project a young quarterback in limited sample size to just be a stud in a much larger sample size, it's easier said than done, because as many Drake Mays as you do get guys that just completely fall flat in their face.
Quickest way to light Devi picks on fire, in my opinion, is to draft freshman quarterbacks. And I just think the hit rate is so low. I will take the swing on Jalen Daniels, Dylan Gabriel, even guys like that. I would much rather take the swing on those guys than freshman quarterbacks, because you just have you're going to get Kadon Slovis 95% of the time, realistically.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the way I look at it. Like I took Shadur Sanders and Jackson Dart, but they also had like a year or two both of like playing college football, and Dart had a year or 2 years of playing in the SEC in the Pac-12 when he was at USC and his first year at Ole Miss. So to me, if you're going to take quarterbacks in Devi drafts, like, you better have some information on these guys. Getting excited about the UCLA quarterback comes to mind as somebody that just like got so much hype when he was coming out of like high school.
Dante Moore, Josh Rosen?
Dante Moore, like guys like that. I just feel like there's so many of them that flame out. Like, I'm just not excited about freshman quarterbacks at all.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Tony Pollard and Rashee Rice. Right. That was
we were talking about
yeah. I remember now. I'm drafting him in BBM. I'm worried about it. At his current value in BBM, I'm doing it every.
I will
time.
hammer the button on him. Like I'm in slow draft hell right now because Danny went to Buffalo, but I will be hammering Nick Chubb in round 9 to 10, because I think by the time training camp and like my other drafts get going, we'll have more information on Nick Chubb. So he'll probably end up being a higher pick, and then once he's like a 7th rounder or something, that's when I might be out on him. So I'm hoping, he's progressing well and all that kind of stuff, and then his price increases, but I get my shares now.
Hey, man. AP was a week 16 injury to boot. Yes, sir. This dude, Reich, hasn't taken quarterback. Good. I mean, he ended up just auto drafting after that. So he probably really just disliked his team and just dropped the draft.
Yeah, that's a bit of a psycho draft that we got going on there.
People are drafting it. Yeah, no, that's crazy. The fact that there are very, very similar injuries. Yes. Is Nick Chubb all time on the level of AP? No. But in terms of pure talent, he's not far off, man. He's not far off. I really do feel like Nick Chubb is in the same breath in terms of elite runners in today's day and age. Now, obviously, Adrian Peterson was doing it on the 340, 360 carries per year. Nick Chubb has been doing it on less volume because of today's NFL. But if you were to say like a modern Adrian Peterson, Nick Chubb would be the guy I would point you to.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that take at all. I think that's pretty fair. I'm building like kind of like a 1-year punt. So one guy that kind of sticks out to me as an interesting option is like Chase Brown. I think he could turn into something here. I might actually stack up like another Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Wright type of option here. And Zach Charbonnet goes, and maybe Schmidon's going to take them both. Who would you compare Tet, McMillan, and Burden to as prospects? So here's why I want to drop these guys into the 2020 or into the FSC prospect
I'll
model,
tell you
so
the
I can
ones I've been
actually tell
hearing.
you. The ones I've been hearing is Tet McMillan to Mike Evans.
Mike Evans and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I've seen Luther Burden to Jamar Chase as well. I've also seen Luther Burden to like Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel-y, kind of like where he's got like some flexibility and some versatility. I think McMillan,
You know what that reminds
Burden
me of?
actually reminds me a little bit of Odunze too.
Well, I was going to say he kind of is built that yak wide receiver that would thrive in that Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel type of scheme. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he had a Malik Neighbors level breakout this year where everybody's talking about him as a really good prospect, but he takes the step and he has like 1,800 receiving yards this year and wins the Blitnikoff.
Yeah, no, I could see it. I could totally see it for sure.
Shout out Flutsky. I heard that dude had. Actually, I don't know if he still has Luther Burden, but I know he had Luther Burden, and he got him for super cheap before he started breaking out in the college season. So big shout out to Flet for making that value move.
Yeah, Isaiah Bond is interesting. I mean, as a Texas fan, I'm quite excited about him. I think
How do you think the wide receiver hierarchy is over there?
I honestly think we could be like kind of like Georgia and Alabama have been the last couple of years, where like nobody's really sticking out, but like the offense is productive, if that makes any sense. I think the guys that you're going to want from like a Devy perspective at Texas are going to be probably the quarterbacks, primarily Arch Manning, and the running backs, CJ Baxter and Jaden Blue and those guys.
You guys got Golden from Houston too, no? Matthew Golden?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and we also have Jonte Cook, who was a 5-star last year, and I think there's somebody else that's still left over from last year's receiving core that I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I don't know.
The running backs and Quinn and Arch Manning are the ones that are probably going to run the offense, I would imagine. The defense had the freshman of the year, basically, at linebacker, so I think the defense is going to be a little bit better overall at Texas. But Isaiah Bond has a real chance, I think, to skyrocket up people's draft boards playing at two big schools. I think he could have a big year this year.
For sure. Where do we leave off in the comments?
Didn't he have a posterior corner injury? It's almost the worst injury you can have to a knee. So let me look up the actual details of Nick Chubb's injury, because I was looking at it earlier today. And like, if you guys are wondering, like, oh, wasn't this like the worst knee injury he could possibly have? Like, his injury at Georgia was like 6 times worse. Like, it was so much worse, which is not a good thing because it's the same knee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a PCL, right? Posterior cruciate ligament.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me pull up the exact details of his injury here. Nick Chubb suffers on September 18th, 2023. He sustained a season-ending left knee injury during Week 2 versus the Steelers. He underwent surgery on September 29th to repair his MCL and his meniscus. A subsequent ACL surgery to repair that was necessary. And JM Thrive quote tweeted me today saying that didn't actually take place until November. I didn't fact check him on that. I'm just assuming he's done his research on that topic because he's literally he's a fantasy doc. So I'm just going to kind of take him at his word for a second. Somebody can fact check that if they want to. But again, it's not like as simple as saying, okay, it was week 2 or week 3, whatever a week of the season it was. He's going to be totally fine. He's got 12 months to recover. Like, he didn't actually really have the surgery until it was like a mid-season surgery kind of thing, or a mid-season ACL tear. So I'm a little worried about Nick Chubb. Don't get me wrong, but again, the price tag is like so cheap. If he was a 4th or a 5th round pick, I'd be saying do not fucking draft this guy at all. But he's going in the 8th, 9th, 10th round of best ball and redraft leagues and the 11th plus round of dynasty startups.
Where do you have him ranked in your best ball rankings right now? Because I was kind of fiddling with it. And again, I will have another update to my best ball rankings this week if you guys are stay tuned over on Flock. But he is currently, if I check Nick Chubb, he's my 94th ranked player in terms of his overall ADP right now. If I check it, it's probably in the 110 to 120 range. So if you're talking about pure ADP value, he's one of the bigger steals, in my opinion, of the draft right now. Like, where's he going? Nick Chubb.
He did not dislocate his knee, by the way. He dislocated his knee in 2015 on his first injury, but he did not dislocate his knee. According to Draft Shark's write-up, they don't mention anything about him dislocating his knee.
Yeah. By the way, let me scroll down for you guys that are unfamiliar. Fuck, I was hoping Daniel Jones made it back. But then again, I probably should have factored that in because Joe only had 2 quarterbacks. But yeah, so Nick Chubb goes 115.5 overall right now. He goes behind Brian Robinson. He goes behind Devin Singletary. He goes behind Javonte Williams. Goes behind Raheem Mostert. Like, why should I take those guys over Nick Chubb?
Yeah, like, again, I think it's very inconsequential to miss on the Nick Chubb pick. If it was a 5th round running back that we're talking about here, it would be totally different. But he is going outside of the running back dead zone where you're taking stabs at guys. Like last year, for example, the 2 Dolphins running backs were going in about the same range, that if they can pay off a big ceiling, you take that swing every single time. But if Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane didn't hit, nobody would have cared. Like, it was an inconsequential pick to miss on.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Also, this is my final pick. I'm just going to end off for the aesthetic pleasers here and just take Russell Wilson so I have a 3rd quarterback. But yeah, feeling good there. Also, just don't be like Raheem, join the draft and then auto picks half of your draft. If you guys get in a draft with us, don't do this, because if Raheem gets into another draft, I'll tell you right now, he's going to be kicked out of that draft because this is unacceptable. So
yeah, like a lot of you guys want to be in here, so it's annoying when people do that.
Don't waste everybody's time and join the draft and then auto half of it. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, have an obscene
amount
of cash on A-Rich for MVP.
Hey, shout out Neil, by the way. We've been dubbing over on the COD rank streets. Since the new season started, we've just been absolutely shredding everybody. So big ups to Neil.
Bindle's in here, Italian. Love to see it. John Loogie. Send me a Monra then, Bush. Yeah, I'm not sending you a Monra for Janty, but we can work out something here.
A Monra plus? Question mark? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you bet you getting Trevor Etienne in the 6th round of the Debbie startup might end up hitting like crack. Yeah, that's a nice little pick that you made last year for sure.
I definitely considered him.
I have a feeling, to me, the reason I swung on Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart and KJ Jefferson is I was like, you know what? One of these guys is going to turn into a 1st round quarterback. And I still think that is going to stand up as true. I think one of Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders will turn into a 1st round QB.
Can you see that? It snapped.
You hate to see it.
I'm going to need to get a new website. I'm going to need to get a new headset anyways. Fuck, I wrote this one off a couple years ago, so it's time for an upgrade.
I just realized I haven't taken a wide receiver since like the 4th round or the 5th round. So this is why I wouldn't actually draft this like on a stream probably, but I'm going to plug my nose and take Romeo Doubs here because I think he shouldn't be available at this point in time.
Jesus Christ. I just took that in. Goddamn.
Yeah. Traded Wandale and Cooper Kupp for a late 2026 1st and Dontavian Wicks. Any thoughts? If you're a rebuilding team, I don't think that's a bad move. I don't think it's like a steal of a trade though either. Like I think that's about the going rate for like Cooper Kupp if you are a competitive team. It feels gross having to send away a 1st rounder for a guy that like could be useless this time next year, but he also could like legit have like top 15 production very easily. Amen.
Is this what you read? Sorry.
Yeah, that was the one that I just read. And Brock says Travion Henderson, Cade Klubnik, L. See, Cade Klubnik is such a perfect example of me not investing in quarterbacks that just
he's like the downside Drake May, because Drake May
exactly.
Like it's so funny because obviously this Campus to Canton league didn't actually end up materializing, but in that draft, I like took Cade Klubnik and Drake May back to back, and one has just like fallen on his face with Cade, and the other one just became the 3rd overall pick with Drake May. So it's hilarious just seeing the volatility and range of outcomes for these young quarterbacks, man. Yeah. What would you pay for Chubb and Dynasty? Like we were saying, probably a mid to late 2 is the good value point for him. Watch about 10 Superflex rookie drafts on another channel, and all of them Daniels went before May. Normally it was the 103.
Yeah, we realize we're on an island with the Drake May take. And to be fair, Henry, like we have Drake May ranked 103, but like I don't think I ever actually had to select him there. Like I traded down pretty much any time. I did it once at 104 over Jaden Daniels, but it was not. I never had to take him 103. I'm pretty sure. Like the only 103 I had, I took Malik Neighbors with because I already had a second quarterback core.
The other context piece, of course, is we're not getting him at 105 when all of our drafts are with you degenerates who watch us preach him as the 103. It's just not going to happen. Like maybe in normal, like
I got him.
Other majority of the drafts, though, he's going to go above.
Well, it was to be fair, it was in Comedy of Errors, which is with a bunch of other analysts, and not with everybody else that's in here.
He didn't fall past the top 4 picks in any of the FSC league subscriber leagues, I'm pretty sure. So that makes sense.
he went super high. Yeah. You want to pull up the board of our current startup, Danny, while I answer some comments here?
Yeah, I'll pull up the board.
Sure. Make It Rainy says, how much do you value Neighbors over Odunze? I would say to move off of Neighbors in favor of Odunze, I'd probably do it for a 2 in terms of just like overall value, but like it would be hard for me to click the accept button on that, if that makes any sense. Like if somebody had Odunze and they offered me Odunze and a second for Neighbors, like in theory, I think that's probably a fair trade, but I think I might need a little bit more to move off of Neighbors, if that makes any sense.
Tisbo's also has a super chat here, so we'll read that quick. He says, forgot to add message 12-team Superflex. Oh, you got that one.
I got the question here. He says 12-team Superflex, start 9, tight end, premium quarterback room, Kyler, Goff, wide receivers, Smitty, Higgins, DJ Moore, Dotson, Hopkins, tight end, Andrews, Bowers, Goddard, 3 2025 ones, 1 late, the other 2 early to mid. Which package? He says, would you trade Kyler, Smitty in a late first for Baker and Justin Jefferson, or Cousins and Justin Jefferson? So the one thing I want to say right off the top is I don't think his team is in position to make this deal.
Got you. Okay.
That's what I was going to say. Like, look at his team, right? Like you see Kyler, Goff. He doesn't list a third quarterback. Smitty, Higgins, DJ Moore, Dotson, like probably not that great at wide receiver either. Andrews and Bowers is great, but you got to move off probably one of those guys. He doesn't mention his running back core. I don't know who he's got there. I just don't think, like, in theory, Kyler, Devontae Smith in a late first to get Jefferson and Baker. I like, honestly, even at face value, I prefer Kyler, Smitty in a late first. Not even just your team isn't ready for this trade. I actually prefer the other side.
I mean,
like Kyler and Jefferson is a wash for me. Like, no, it's like a borderline wash. Kyler in a 1. Kyler in a 1 is a wash.
Late 1, sure.
Don't care. Late 1, mid 1, any 1. I'm taking Kyler in a 1 over Jefferson.
I mean, when you add that late 1, I think it gets closer. Yeah, but...
and Smitty over the other 2 quarterbacks by a landslide.
I mean, in a start 9, if you wanted to add point production to your wide receivers, I don't mind it. But like you kind of said, if you're not in position to make this deal, then you don't make the deal straight up. Because it's not like you're getting a steal of a value where you can just flip guys for value after. Like, this is about the market value you're paying to go get a Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, no, I just don't think this is I think this is an overpay for Jefferson. Like, it's hard to overpay for such an elite asset, but to me, I think it's an overpay. And if you were in a position where your team was just like completely loaded and you could afford to do it, that's fine, but you're not in that position, unfortunately. I think your team is probably about the 4th, 5th best team in your league, depending on who your running back core is. And I probably wouldn't make a trade like that. Jesse says, thoughts on Jalen Wright in the 2nd round of a rookie draft?
Late second.
I have him rated in the late 2nd. So let's go over this startup that we're in right now really quick.
Let's get through all the comments first, and then
let's just fire through the good ones here. We got
I got it. Don't think McMillan's physically as dominant. That's fair. I do think in terms of the footwork, in terms of the versatility he brings to the exposition, people see the size with Mike Evans, with that McMillan, and they think, oh, these are just these big physical bully receivers, which absolutely they can do that. But what Mike Evans has done so well throughout his career, especially as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, is he's a very versatile wide receiver. He can win on all 3 levels. He can win with route running, with technician. And I see that with Tet McMillan. Now, obviously, he's got to do that in his eligible year to declare this year, but like, there's no reason why he shouldn't be at least a Mike Evans level top 10 prospect like Mike Evans was when he was coming out of A&M.
Yeah, not to mention Cowing was a good player. Like, I like Jacob Cowing. So him basically outproducing Jacob Cowing as a sophomore is really impressive.
For sure. How big of a difference is JSN to Addison to you guys? I have Addison looking to move off him, but I'm not getting much interest. I will still prefer Addison, but that's like wide receiver 26 versus wide receiver 29 in my rankings. So
I think JSN has a much higher value ceiling than Addison, full disclosure. Fair. Like, I think if JSN hits this, I have swapped them. Yeah, I have swapped them. That's the reason I prefer JSN slightly, is because I think if JSN hits this year, and even if it's like a modest hit, even if it's like he has a Drake London caliber season,
900 yards, 6 touchdowns.
It's not, 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, but the like targets per route run is good and all that kind of stuff. I would feel pretty confident in JSN being like a top 20 wide receiver in Dynasty, versus Addison is really going to need to just smash this year to be able to get up to that level.
And that 906 touchdowns didn't really come out of nowhere, considering last year Addison had 911 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns. And we're talking about him being devalued from a ceiling perspective because of JJ and because of JJ. I mean, because of both JJ.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's so difficult with Addison, because I think he's still a great player. I think he's still a great receiver. dude, the market
Lot more
sentiment
risk.
to lean towards JSN already before the NFL draft. If JSN goes out there and has a productive second season, and I alluded to Rome Odunze being in the wide receiver 1 upside tier as a prospect, like JSN was in that tier also, or just behind that tier, actually. So we're talking about a guy that was like a very, very good prospect who did show signs of life last year, and the price tag is reasonable. I don't think it's outrageously like low. I'm not saying JSN's the biggest buy in all of Dynasty, but if you believe in JSN, I think the price tag is reasonable for him.
Yeah, for sure. Where do we leave here?
And you are
Did you
not
put it
crazy,
down?
Tiz, because I prefer Baker over Cousins as well
Yeah, I think that's
in
fair.
Dynasty.
Right. I was just working in ortho. That makes sense. Shout out Lennox too, another COD goat on the sticks. Guy is a freak of nature, iridescent level player, so he is very good at the game. I really want to know if he dislocated his knee too. Okay, so they're just talking in the comments.
Yeah, I'm skipping ahead to the comments that are actually like interesting.
I got
here.
it.
Sorry, because I just want to.
Okay.
I know I'm skipping through all the like nonsense here. No offense to anybody who left a comment that I skipped over, but
I mean, they were intended for
Bobcat
me, but that's fine.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, like they're COD comments. Like, sorry, I don't really give a shit. I don't think anybody watching does. Bobcat says, y'all excited for the UFC
I'll get to them
fight
after.
tonight? Yeah. Forgot to add message.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, that's from before. Don't worry, I got it, bro.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah, UFC is going to be fire. By the way, UFC is going to be fire. Took him 103 in the FSC listen. I didn't think twice about it. Love my team here. Besides quarterback 2 and Gino, I guess I put 2. No, that makes sense. Esco. Slow draft. Slow went Lamar at 107. Caleb fell to 206.
That's crazy.
Fucking absurd. Yeah. How important is QB in a 12 T1 quarterback league? I know golf is okay, but I really think I want to upgrade to maybe A-Rich or Ken Walker plus a future first or something along those lines. That feels a little bit rich. Ken Walker plus a future first for A-Rich in a 1 quarterback league, in my opinion. Like if that was Ken Walker plus a future 2, that's about more equatable value, in my opinion. Because if you're looking at A-Rich quarterback 10, 11 in most dynasty circles, like Kenneth Walker's an RB 11 to 12, RB 11 to 14 in a lot of dynasty circles. So for me, knowing someone quarterback, like I wouldn't be shocked if there was only like a round of separation between their started values.
Yeah, I think I would want like Hurts or Lamar for Ken Walker in a first in a 1 quarterback league.
Bijan and Hall coming out with the belt. Amen, bro. Amen. Winner Lowe's, I think he retires tonight. It's been an honor to watch. Most definitely the best never win a belt. Yeah, no, I definitely agree there.
Who are you guys talking about?
So the main card fight tonight.
Who is it? I don't know. I don't follow UFC.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you the overall card, and then obviously the main fight.
I'm just curious who the coming out with the belt guy is.
That's fair. I actually want to see the rest of the card. That's why I'm searching it right now. So give me a second.
Okay. So interesting that go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So in terms of the overall fights, Almeida versus Kopylov, Brown versus Zaleski dos Santos, Price versus Morono. And then you got Ken Holland's actually fighting tonight too. Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa is going to be a bang out. By the way, Paulo Costa being a plus 200 underdog is very tempting odds in my opinion. And then it's Makhachev versus Poirier. So that's going.
Oh, is Poirier the guy that doesn't have a belt?
Well, that is the championship fight. So absolutely.
Poirier's never won a belt.
Yeah, I mean he's won big fights, but
that's crazy.
I believe when he was fighting for the belt is when he lost to Oliveira.
Right.
Lost Oliveira because that was when the belt was open. He lost to Oliveira. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Dustin Poirier. Yeah. He's fighting,
also,
I just want to see the overall card. That's why I searched.
Right. It is interesting that Tiz says that Bijan and Hall are his top 2 running backs. So that makes your team more competitive, obviously. But I still think that's not I wouldn't do that deal that you had on the table for Jefferson.
By the way, we haven't plugged it so far, but make sure you do get your free square like J Metal K is saying. That 1050.5 is a really, really good value on Marv. So love that. Lost to Khabib too. Yeah, I do remember that as well. So we'll go through the startup. Again, you can go through some of your picks as well. And then afterwards, I'll get through some of the COD lingo because obviously Corey didn't want to read those as well. But we'll go through the startup right now. I will click your team and you can kind of give a summary of what you were able to do so far.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just startup mock recap. Sorry, I'm just putting it in the timestamps for people who are watching this afterwards. But yeah, so looking at the startup, I traded down from the 106. I got a trade in my inbox where I was getting a future first in that trade. So I ended up trading down basically, and I ended up sliding up from my 20 or wherever the pick was. I think it was the
207.
I had my 207. Yeah, I got the 205 in the trade. It was like basically 205 and a first for the 106. And I think I gave him back like a later round pick or something, and I maybe got one as well. But either way, the way that this draft structured out, the rookie picks are flying fast and furious in this one. Like there's Bailey. If you go to Bailey's team, just like literally click on Bailey's team just for a second, just to show these people how the fucking draft is gone. Dude, he like didn't pick for like 4.5, 5 rounds. Like
Dude,
he
the
collected
meme
as many rookie picks as possible.
The meme of this drafter was when Bailey is actually going to make his own pick. So he actually ends up making a couple, but the guy has the next 2 drafts pretty much monopolized at this point. It's pretty hilarious. Like I think he has like 5 or 6 firsts in this year, and then like 4 or 5 in the next year. So he's definitely cooking on the picks front. By the way, I will answer the super chat. AJ, I'm not ghosting your DMs for the record. I was away all weekend, especially yesterday, driving for 4 hours to Buffalo. So my apologies if I don't get to it. But regardless, what do y'all think? Move one quarterback. I moved AJ Brown, T, and Jalen for Jamar, Charbonnet, and Leggett. So for me, I'm comfortable making this if you have another quarterback.
This is a very easy smash for AJ Brown, T, and Jalen, in my
really?
opinion.
A one quarterback league?
Smash.
Do you have a quarterback?
Dude, AJ Brown and T Higgins.
Leggett and T are not far off for me.
What?
That's like a second round valuation.
That's a crazy statement. That's a crazy statement.
Absolutely not. That's like a second round valuation of difference.
That is a wild statement.
What do you think T Higgins' market valuation is right now?
He's a top 20 dynasty receiver.
No, top 24 for sure.
Like a third round startup pick. He would
be like what? If we're talking about wide receivers in this class, I would take Worthy, I'd take Thomas, I'd take Lab McConkey, but they're all in the same tier. I'll give you that. What's the difference in valuation to move off from Lab McConkey down to Xavier Leggett? Future second.
Dude, Leggett's got a really bad profile, and I like Leggett, but like there's dude, Charbonnet, like he's not even worth anything. And Leggett's like a 8th, 9th round startup pick in a one quarterback league. Like you're giving up Jalen Hurts, who I still have valued inside the second round, even
for reference.
AJ Brown, 1st round startup pick. T Higgins, 4th round startup pick.
For reference, I would agree the valuation is on the side he gave up. But at the same time, if you need an elite wide receiver, you have a bunch of depth on your team, and you want to go make a splash for a guy like Jamar Chase, who is literally a top 3 overall startup pick, I'm cool making it if you have depth elsewhere and if you have a strong enough quarterback. Like if Anthony Richardson was your other quarterback, I'm cool making the move. Again, pure valuation, I would agree with you. I would. But at the same time, if you have to go and make a splash for an elite player like Jamar Chase in a one quarterback league, I'm assuming this is a start 8 or start 9. Jamar Chase is almost a lock if he stays healthy to be above 19, 20 PPR points per game. I'm cool making the move.
Okay, so go to my my team really quick because we got sidetracked.
That's Jalen. That's Jalen McMillan, by the way. So we can agree that that's a steal then, right?
All right.
AJ Brown,
Jalen
T, and
McMillan,
Jalen McMillan.
Jalen Hurts. Yeah, give me the Jamar Chase side then.
Thank fucking God. Okay.
Okay,
but
so go to my team really quick because we got sidetracked a little bit.
Sorry, I thought you read through it. My apologies.
No, I did not. We got sidetracked completely. So I ended up going with like kind of a competitive team out of the startup. So I pocketed a future first. I traded up the future first to get around the board. I think I ended up getting a second, 4th round pick out of that future first, and ended up getting Tua in the Jalen Waddle stack there. I ended up picking how many times did I pick before round 10? Like if you look at the board, I had like 13 picks before round 10 or something like that.
14 picks up to the 10th round, and then you have all your picks from here. It's very similar to mine in that sense because I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I had 2 in the 11th as well. So 14 through 11 I had. You had 14 through the 10th.
Yeah, but you
12,
sold your 2026
I did.
one also.
I did. I traded away my future picks, but at the same time, I thought the value I got was just too much to pass up, which is why I did it. Typically, I'm not the guy that is going to go all in startups, but the one deal was, I believe, my startup 10th or 11th, whichever one. So the 10-10, startup 10-10, which ended up being, startup 10-11, which ended up being Troy Franklin. It equated into Troy Franklin plus a 25 first, which, given the context of my team, I think is a mid to late first in exchange for Brock Bowers and a 2.0 tight end premium. So I can rationalize that deal. The other deal, I believe I got Isaiah Pacheco straight up for my 26 first round pick, which I think is fine as well. So those are the deals I ended up making. You guys can comment down below if I overpaid or underpaid, but I typically don't move my picks, but I just felt I got good enough deals to be able to in this draft.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like, looking back at my team, I think I built out a really strong, like, stable of quarterbacks: Jordan Love, Tua, Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield. I ended up building out a really strong stable of running backs: Bijan, Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams, Tony Pollard, Raheem Mostert, Ray Davis, in a league that is 0.25 for first downs on running backs. My wide receiver core is a little lighter than I'd want it to be, with Drake London, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, and Chris Godwin, and then Dontavian Wicks, Gabe Davis there. And then a tight end, I just faded it. I thought everybody was drafted the tight ends a little sooner than I was willing to take them. Again,
2.0.
it's 2.0 tight end premium. But to me, I think that the advantage I can gain by hitting on a late round tight end versus the advantage that you lose if you miss on an early round tight end, to me, is like, I would rather punt tight end, see if I can take multiple swings, multiple stabs at it. And if I hit pretty solid at tight end and get good production out of it, then to me, it's like so advantageous in a 2.0 tight end premium. And I think getting Goddard at the 10-12, getting Dalton Schultz in the 13th round, I think I'm just fine with those guys. Like, I would much rather take those guys at the value I got them than where David Njoku went, or where Jake Ferguson went, or where Evan Ingram went, to be honest. Given the like 3, 4, 5 round discount that I got on those other guys, I will take the opportunity cost discount there.
For what it's worth, I will say, if I was in your spot, Tucker Kraft would have been a guarantee on my team. Like, I understand, like, Dalton Schultz, you can't take Tucker Kraft over him. But at the same time, if you had gone with like a Javon Baker there, or another running back there, and then you had gotten Tucker Kraft, because I agree with you in the precipice that you want to hit on a guy with a bunch of upside, especially a young guy. And to me, there's not much value accrual potential. Again, good point potential with Dalton Schultz, but not much value accrual potential. And because you had Jordan Love, and knowing the talent that we both think Tucker Kraft could eventually be, I think I would have just rather had Tucker Kraft in your spot.
Yeah, I can't take him over Schultz or Freiermuth.
I
I was hoping that I could get Schultz there, and then Kraft or Freiermuth would fall back to me, but they ended up both going, I think.
Well, that's what I mean. You took Mostert over Kraft and Freiermuth, I believe. No, not over Freiermuth, but you took him over Kraft.
Yeah, that was more of, okay, Freiermuth went, I'll take Mostert here and hope that Kraft falls back to me, and he just didn't.
Gotcha.
Because I already had Goddard and Schultz. I wasn't too pressed to take Tucker Kraft, and I thought Dolchich, Mayer, some of those other guys might fall to me as well, and they all ended up going. So again, for me, I feel like I've built out a really competitive team here. I think it's a really strong team. I don't have my own 2025 first. I don't have the extra 2025 first I acquired by trading out of the first round, but I did pocket an extra second rounder. So I do have 2 2s in 2025. That's more draft capital than like 90% of the people in this league, other than the 2 guys that are drafting all of the picks basically in 2025, 2026. Like, to give you guys an idea, like, I swear to God, there's 2 guys collecting picks in this league, and the rest, everybody else except for like, me, I guess, like, doesn't have their first or their second, and a lot of people have given up their 26 ones as well.
Yeah. No, definitely a very competitive league off the jump. For my team, I got Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson, Malik Neighbors. And then at this point, I was like, I'm pretty indifferent on whether I compete or whether I, grab a young team. And similar applied here to Bowers, though, to be fair, once I did make the Bowers move, like I said, moving the 10-10 plus my own first, that's when I realized, hey, I got to get some point equity this year, because I don't want that to be the 106. I want that to be the fucking 112. I don't want to be giving up free value on my own first round pick. So once I got Bowers, I realized, hey, got to fill up my wide receiver core. A lot of youth, a lot of upside there at the wide receiver position. Love the value I got on Isaiah Pacheco as well. Like I said, 26 first straight up, you can make the case that that's relatively market value for Pacheco. But for me with Pacheco, man, I think it's more likely he's a top 6 running back in Dynasty after this year than he's outside of the top 14. So I make that bet on Pacheco. I get my anchor there. I get DeAndre Swift to correlate with my Caleb Williams, along with DJ Moore, who also give me some stacking upside there. Amari Cooper, good contending receiver at the 9-1. Josh Downs, you can make the case I could have probably went with like a JMO or with like another wide receiver at that spot, but I do like Josh Downs. Really good separation metrics according to Matt Harmon's reception perception. Does give me the stack there with Anthony Richardson, so it was fine making that pick. Close here, 11-3, 11-4 with Nick Chubb and Geno Smith, respectively. Geno Smith, again, third quarterback for me, contending piece. Thought 11-3 was a solid value. We've been talking about Nick Chubb all stream. Daniel Jones and Khalil Shakir in the 13th round. Daniel Jones was literally a top 10 quarterback in fantasy 2 years ago. So 13th round feels like a very reasonable cost. Kind of has a similar vibe to when Baker Mayfield was discarded and nobody gave a damn, former first round pick, former top 6 pick for that matter. I mean, Baker going first overall, DJ going 6th overall in his own draft. And we saw Baker kind of have that resurgence. Maybe that's on the card there for Daniel Jones. Plus obviously stack him here with Malik Neighbors. Khalil Shakir, We talk about the ambiguity in that Buffalo receiving core. Khalil Shakir, once he got the snaps at the second half of last year, was actually pretty productive. And if Keon Coleman isn't ready to make an immediate year one impact, I think Shakir is their next talented player in that wide receiver room. So don't mind the value there, getting him at the 13-3. And then, like I said, made that Nick Chubb bet, get his insurance there with Jerome Ford. Didn't feel like I'd reached on him at all. 17-2 felt like very good value, because if Nick Chubb misses the season, we saw Jerome Ford just last year be the RB16 overall in fantasy. So like how I constructed this, again, I wish I would have kept at least one of those future first round picks. But if I'm getting good value on the trades, I don't mind making those moves at the end of the day in hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when I look at your team, I don't love the idea of getting a bunch of guys that I think could have slow starts because they're rookies, like Neighbors and Bowers and Thomas and those type of guys. I think this is the shell of a team that I would like to just kind of wait and see what happens, but you don't have your own one in 2025 or in 2026. And I believe you don't have your two in 2025 either, right?
No, I don't.
That's fine. I think you didn't overpay for the trades that you got. I just don't love the fact that you're assuming that's going to be a mid to late one when I don't think it's guaranteed that it is.
See, because I would disagree. I do think it's guaranteed that I'm a playoff team. The reason being,
I think given the rest of the way that the rest of go look at Tom's team, look at my team, look at some of the straight contenders. You know what I mean? To me, I just don't. You need a lot to break right to beat those teams. In my opinion,
I think you're underrating that. I think you're underrating the point equity on my team, because if we're actually looking through their overall ADPs right now, Caleb Williams is going as a top 12 quarterback on Underdog Fantasy. Anthony Richardson's the quarterback 6 over on Underdog Fantasy. Malik Neighbors is an early third. Possibly, I've seen most rooms him go in the back end of the second on Underdog. Pacheco, like I said, is a fourth rounder. We both agree is undervalued there. Brock Bowers, yes, you can argue that more competitive tight ends this year, like a McBride or a Laporta, would have been more beneficial. But as a rookie, is still going as the tight end 8 overall off the board. Pickens is a 4th round pick. DJ Moore is a 4th round pick. Brian Thomas is a 5th, 6th round pick. Jaden Reed is a 5th, 6th round pick. Rasheed Rice.
Now go to my team. Let's go to my team now and talk about where they're going versus yours.
Jordan Love is the quarterback 10 off the board.
He's not.
He was the quarterback 13.
8.
Where?
Oh, he's in my rankings. He's quarterback 8. I don't know. Either way, Jordan
quarterback
Love
10 and ADP.
Okay, both solid quarterbacks. But then I have a top 5 pick in Bijan Robinson. I have a second round pick or whatever in Kyron Williams, 3rd round pick. Drake London's a 2nd round pick. Jalen Waddle's a 3rd round pick. T. Higgins, late 3rd, early 4th round pick. I don't know. To me, I just look at my team in terms of point production, and I think it's better year one. I'm not saying my team is going to always be better than yours. I just think year one, to not have both of my first in the next 2 draft classes, to me just felt a little egregious, because I think that you have maybe the 8th best running back core in our league. I think that you maybe have the 5th or 6th best wide receiver core in our league. Year one production. I'm not saying long term. I'm saying year one production. You maybe have the 5th or 6th best running back and wide receiver cores. I think Bowers is not that great to have in year one because he's a rookie tight end. I think the quarterbacks are good. They're solid. I don't really have any qualms with them. I don't know.
Best quarterback
to me,
in the
picking
league.
a guy like Brian Thomas and mixing in these guys that I just don't think are going to be great year one producers, I think was something I wouldn't have done if I was selling picks in the future like you did.
The difference is I just disagree with the redraft projections for some of those young guys. Again, I'm going to be higher on, for example, if that said Xavier Worthy's name instead of Brian Thomas Jr., you would like my year one team a lot better, correct?
I mean, I still probably wouldn't have taken a rookie, but either way, we're closing on the 1.5 hour mark, and I'm getting hungry here. So let's sign this one off because it is actually 7:30 where I am, and I'm literally starving.
And when you sign off, I can get through some of these COD ranked questions.
Sure. Okay.
You can label it in the stream as a timestamp for those that are disinterested.
Absolutely. So I will hop off of here. Appreciate you guys for joining us. We're gonna have our first dose of redraft rankings throughout the next week here. Starting tomorrow, I believe. We did record those before I left for Europe, so I don't think there's any outdated information in there, so it should be just fine. But we went through basically our top 36 running backs, our top 40 wide receivers, all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming out starting tomorrow, and we should have more content before I come back as well. Appreciate you guys for saying how I to enjoy the rest of my vacation. I shall, and hopefully the running back prospect model will be done by the time I get back. So I will hop off of here, and Danny can do his nerd Call of Duty chat stuff.
I mean, speaking of, amen. I wish I could from where I am right now. I wish I could taking the overs and the unders in terms of the kill department first 3 maps, but Corey can sign off. He does not give a crap about COD, but I do. So if you guys want to stick around, talk for a few minutes, I will do that for you. But either way, take care, Corey. Take care. Sebastian says, if you need carries in COD ranked, let me know. All right. Sounds good, bro. Sounds good. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up. We actually got a little squad going. Yeah. So, you know, the vibes, R6 is, hey, R6 I respect because there's a lot more to learn in terms of like the abilities, you know, like it's a lot more of a methodical, slower paced game, but I just like hopping on the 6 and running and gunning people. That's why I love Call of Duty. Obviously, there's a big time strategy, especially in SND for COD, but like just the movement of the game feels so much better for me. Little birdie, yeah, amen. Amen. That was hilarious. We dropped off her squad, so now she's watching the stream. I miss the old CODs. Yeah, the old CODs were a lot of fun back in the BO2, BO3 days. Like I grew up in high school on BO3, so that shit was a lot of fun. Now that was before I took shit serious, so I was just running the pubs, but that was a lot of fun here. Yeah, your team was doing really good there, Rylan. We'll do another startup mock stream at some point this week. So stay tuned for that. Danny, did you see Banks? Yeah, dude. Nate shot got absolutely worked. So that was not ideal. I believe it ended up 20-5. And so funny how Optics literally running like Shotsies in that lineup, whereas FaZe is running like Zuma and fucking Face Swag. Like that was a fun event, that Founding Fathers event. Favorite card of all time, it's definitely got BBO2. That was back in my heyday, like right before high school. I believe that released 2013, right? 2013 or so. BO3 was in the prime of my high school career. So like I would have been grade 10 or grade 11 when BO3 came out. So that was a lot of fun. Had a lot of expectations for BO4. It was a fun game still, but didn't quite get as much into it. So yeah, it is what it is. BO3 would probably be BO2 or BO3 would probably be my my two favorites personally. Just give me Treyarch. Currently Plat, but usually Crim. Yeah, definitely slide in our lobby there, Sebastian, because I'm so for reference, I just hit gold last season. I ended up starting playing ranked at the end of Major 2. So right around when Major 2 started is when I started playing ranked COD. And for the first month, like I just could not get ranked under my belt. Like I couldn't understand my pacings, my timings, my map knowledge was off, didn't know spawns. Like it was a learning curve. And then I ended up going to that Major 3 in Toronto, and just everything kind of like clicked in for me. So we've been ripping. Like at the end of last season, we went up, I want to say like 1,200, 1,300 SR in the final few days of the last season. And this season, I ended up getting demoted back to Silver 1 or Silver 2. And I'm almost back in gold right now. Like I think I'm 100 SR off. So definitely been playing a lot better Call of Duty recently, which is fun. I really didn't think Banks had a chance, but imagine how many times Banks had played on that map. Oh, amen, bro. Like, dude, he's playing MW2 Rust snipers only. Like, that's Banks' fucking shit. That's like freaking Banks ego challenging nade shot on a 4v4 SND on that game. So that's just not going to be fair. Not going to be fair. I mean, even Adapt was just absolutely ripping people from freaking sniper spots there. So that was fun. BO2 being set in 2025 really makes a guy feel aged. Yeah, amen. Amen. I have 4 accounts. Those other ones are lower if I need to hop on any other accounts. Amen, bro. Yeah, look, hit me up on Twitter. I believe what is my Twitter? Just Danny Football 59. Just hit me up and we'll get a squad going. We'll get a squad. Bro, but amen. We were absolutely frying. For Sebastian, if you don't know, we're like the last time we played, I ended up dropping a 22-6 3-0 Karachi control. So that was a lot of fun. I did not know you were into CDL like this. This is awesome. Yeah, bro. I just got in because all the boys were in. Shout out also Fletsky. You guys see him in the stream a lot, Tyler Flett. But he also helped get me in. A couple of my real life friends helped me get into it. And ever since you get into it, it's like developing a whole new culture. And it's a lot of fun to talk about. So yeah, I am definitely very into it. We actually ended up going to the Toronto Major, and we ran into all of the Optic guys right after they won the trophy. We're all going to the pisser, and we seen like Brucey, fucking Shotsy, Kenny, fucking Pred, like they're all walking through the hallway. So we're able to meet them, hype them up. I ended up yelling straight to Dashy. I'm like, big Brucey shooting straight as an arrow, eh? And he just started dying because that was right after they 4-0'd Ultra in the final. So that was a lot of fun. I was just playing BO2 yesterday. Awesome game. I still remember learning all the zombies Easter eggs in that game back in the day. That was a good time. Heck yeah, dude. Amen, bro. Amen. BO2 is untouchable in my opinion, but I never got to play MW2. I played MW2. The one I remember specifically was MW3 because MW2 would have came out, 2008, 2009. So that was right when I was starting to get into COD. The first COD I played a lot was just the original Black Ops because it was Black Ops, and it was MW3, I believe. No, it was Black Ops, then it was Ghost, then it was MW3, then it was BO2, then it was AW, IW, BO3. I believe that was the sequencing of it. You guys can correct me in the comments if I was wrong there. So, like Lily Buff stuff, right? She's one of my friends. I haven't actually seen, but slide me some clips. Again, you got me on Twitter now. Slide me some clips. I'll be happy to interact some COD there in the DMs. BO1 and MW3 were amazing. Yeah, a lot of fun on those games. A lot of fun. And it's so funny because, again, I was really young. That was when I started playing on PS3 back in the day. So just different vibes, man. Different vibes. Should I send Ken Walker plus Rice for Harrison Jr.? 12 team start 10. I already have Waddle, Puka, London, Nico, Rice, Addison, and Kirk. Yeah, I mean, if that's all that it costs to get Harrison Jr., you go and get Harrison Jr., in my opinion there, Ralph. Appreciate the NFL comment. Yeah, go get Harrison. Did you grow up watching competitive COD, Optic, Complexity, ADC? I was the revisionist guy. I was the guy where, for me, I just started getting into the CDL scene, understanding the competitive COD scene this past year. But I'm the type of guy, especially how I did it in football, how I did it in every sport I followed. When I start watching something, I'm appreciative of the history of that sport, of that esport in this instance. So I watched all of the Complexity Dynasty stuff. I watched the Optic, the Process series. I watched their whole breakdown, the documentary, Scump retiring. I ended up watching, of course, The Curse Has Been Broken, 2017. I caught up on a lot of that stuff once I started following it. So it's been a lot of fun. They're bringing back the zombie-based rounds, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, dude, that was the prime of my high school, man. Even at the end of my elementary school, just being able to play out those zombies, the round by round system. A lot of the Easter eggs that was incorporated in as well, man. A lot of fun. She was at the Toronto Major Dash. She did. Oh, she won. I didn't end up finishing that video. Okay, so she won it. I gotta rewatch it because I ended up watching the first portion of that Dashy video, but I didn't end up watching the end. So I'm gonna have to recheck and see what Lily Buff is all about. Who's a competitive GOAT? Got to be between Crim6 and Scump. So in terms of accolades, the question here for me is, who's your NFL GOAT? Tom Brady, or once he retires, Patrick Mahomes? Because I think Scump would be representative of Patrick Mahomes and Crim6 would be representative of Tom Brady. Because if you're going straight off of accolades, the answer is going to be Crim6 because of the championships, the rings, the steady gameplay across the amount of titles he played it at. It's probably got to be Crim6. But at the same time, if you're just talking about pure ability on the sticks, the impact he has on the sport, which, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, how many casuals do you know now following the NFL because of Patrick Mahomes? That's kind of how I view it with Scump, where Scump was the symbol of competitive COD, represented Optic in the way he has from a content standpoint, from a gameplay standpoint, from an overall skill standpoint. But unfortunately for him, he doesn't quite have the accolades that Crim, of course, has. So I would say Scump because of how he's revolutionized the scene. But if you're going straight off of accolades, I think you got to go with Crim, right? So I think either are very, very good answers for who is the GOAT. And you didn't get to experience the Dynasty. I feel so sorry, man. I wish I experienced that in the prime. I wish I experienced it in the prime. Scump retirement vid still hits. Yeah, for real. Even watching it back, I'm shedding a tear. You know what I'm saying? You're an Optic fan. BO6 about to go crazy. Maybe. Let's go. Been an OG fan since BO2. That's hyped, bro. That's hyped. I'm excited for BO6. Yeah, I can't wait for BO6 either. We taking champs. Yeah, I mean, for those of you that don't know, the first event I ever go to, I am an Optic fan ever since I started getting into the scene. Obviously, again, a newer fan, so you guys can talk about, the longevity of it. But first event I go to, they end up winning after an 800-plus day hiatus. So maybe I'm just a lucky charm. Maybe I'm what they needed to potentially take that champs ring again. We'll see. Nade Bose, Big Hector. Hey, man. Those are the OGs, man. Those are the OGs. Crim6 was assistant player, JKLO, but his team was always so. Yeah, I mean, you need players like that. The good IGLs that maybe they're not dropping 1.2s, dropping 40 plus kills on a map, but that can give the good comms, that can give that good team around. That again, I'm not going to talk about Crim6 outside of the game because people have their mixed opinions about his overall personality. But in terms of just playing the game and being that in-game leader that you need, Crim6 was the ultimate system player. Again, he was never, I mean, COD Ghost, obviously, he was one of the best, but even during the Optic Dynasty, he was never a top 2 player at any instance in that team, but he was the glue of that team. So I do agree with that. Let's go 805 days. Amen, bro. Amen. That's fucking crazy. I just show up to the LAN and they end up winning after that hiatus. So Big Lennox, you guys can see the logo in his profile pic. So you guys can get on him as the face. Oh no, face fan has entered the chat. Oh God. No, I will say Lennox did give it to me a little bit after that Major 2 loss we had to face, but just lucky I was able to watch the Get Back live in Toronto. Dude, like when Optic won that series at map 5, when Dashy made that 1v3, watching that shit live and knowing like we just beat FaZe, we are not losing to Toronto in the final. Like that was the sentiment around Toronto, is like, dude, they are not losing to Ultra in the final. Again, I expected it to be a 5 or 6 game series, but them sweeping it was definitely the icing on the cake. So big shout out there. Thoughts on going quarterback at 112 and 201 in a startup, or get a wide receiver 2? It all depends on what quarterbacks are available here. Like, for example, if you're getting none of the top 3 wide receivers and maybe you're a little bit lower on Marv, I'm cool taking just 2 quarterbacks on that turn. But if you do love Marv or one of the wide receivers falls to you, I also don't mind going quarterback, wide receiver. It's really a pick your flavor type of area, in my opinion. Literal robot. Yeah, just execution, man. Execution. No personality. I don't want to say no personality, but no like emotions detracting the game. Like that guy was focused on just winning championships and winning consistently. So gotta respect that. Drazi is Dashy's. Yeah, man. Drazi is Dashy's son, I fear. Yeah, I agree there. Good to see you, boys. Appreciate that, Paca. Appreciate that. You caught us in the midst of just a big COD chat, which, by the way, I'll probably sign it off at 145. Don't want you guys to completely get caught up if you guys aren't in the COD scene. So I'll probably sign off at 145 mark, but we'll get a few more minutes talking about some COD. Heard he's signing the adoption papers. Yeah, for real. Xbox or PlayStation is the real question. So I'll tell you this, Bobcat. I grew up on PlayStation throughout my life. PS3, PS4, never touched an Xbox. Then I became a PC gamer. If you guys are unfamiliar, I also have grinded Rocket League since 2019. Now, again, I'm a little bit washed right now, but at my peak, I was about a GC2 level player. I ended up touching, I believe, 1580 SR, MMR as my peak. So in terms of grinding, Rocket League was my first game. Then this past year, my buddy was selling his Xbox. He was able to give me a nice price on it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy this Xbox off him. I believe I got the Xbox Series X, controller, headset, a couple games on there for about 280 or 300 Canadian, I believe was what I paid. So felt good about that. And then I'm like, you know what? I need a game to play on the system because I just bought the system. I'm not just going to play straight Game Pass games all the time. Let me go get a game. So I ended up buying Call of Duty after my friends all asked me to get it. Started playing that. Like I said, started grinding with Flet from the chat. You guys might know him. He's in there quite often. A couple of my real life buddies. And ever since then, just been, I'm like a psychopath degenerate in the sense that when I get into something, like I try to get as good as I can at it. Like if I'm bad at something, I get so upset with myself that I just keep doing it until I get good. Same thing when I started playing poker. When I started playing poker, first freaking game I've ever played a poker was the first person eliminated, got absolutely toasted. Absolutely toasted. The next time I played, after hours and hours and hours, I absolutely wiped all of them because I spent hours just watching gameplay, watching tips, watching natural strategy, macro, micro strategy, how to read players. Like I was just getting so into it. Of course, obviously, I'm a math guy as well. So if you guys are unfamiliar, like when I was actually in high school, like that math was always my best course, which you hear me rambling on like, oh, this guy's just a rambling Italian, but like I did well in school. Like in my grade 12 plus year prior to going to uni, I had a 95 average. I got a majority scholarship when I ended up going to uni. I was really good in terms of the grades, but for me, it's always because when I want to learn something, I will just sit down and grind it. But it's weird. It's weird. Sometimes you just have that natural obsession to just be the best at something. So PlayStation, but with that being said, I'm on Xbox now for the context of that question. It can keep the major win champ sounds better. Don't worry. When we knock you off in champs too, you'll see Lennox. Like, all jokes aside, though, in terms of both rosters, they're two such big dream teams, if you will. Because obviously, FaZe with the trio that they have, three of arguably the best players, top 8 players of all time there with Cell, with Simple, with Abeezy. Yeah, Draw, so there is that consistent AR. From a talent perspective, you guys are loaded. The same thing with Optic. I mean, the way Shotzi's been playing, Pred now finally getting into that aggressive bulldog mentality we saw at the major, Kenny being that consistent AR. And maybe this is a contrarian opinion, man, but when I watch Dashy play, like, I think Dashy's still the best player on Optic. I know Shotzi's amazing, but when Dashy is at his own, when Dashy's playing his game, that's when Optic is by far at their best. And we saw it at the major. Like, Shotzi did win MVP respectively because of what he did against FaZe, what he was able to do, especially in the hard points of that series. But, like, Dashy's the best S&D player, in my opinion, in the entirety of COD. And Dashy, when he is just playing confident and playing at the speed he can, the pace he can at that major, Optic's just such a hard team to knock off. And we saw that on display. I mean, Ultra just couldn't even contend on any of those 4 maps. 4-0 series, and none of them were close. Good thing we're taking both. Amen. Good thing Danny stayed on for this. Corey just doesn't understand how many nerds are out there. Amen. I mean, we still have 304 people watching, so clearly a lot of you do enjoy the COD content. So that's funny. What's the COD stream? Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm gonna at this point probably have to stream some COD for you guys. But in terms of my username, if you guys are unfamiliar, if you guys want to add me over on COD, it's just my Activision is DMAC59. So if you guys want to add me there, Activision ID DMAC59, I'll definitely get some games in. I'm currently about Silver 3, I think. I'm just about getting Gold 1, but my goal at the end of the season is to potentially enter into Plat, because I went from Silver 1 to Gold 1 to the start of the season. So in 2 days of grinding, I gained 1100 SR. So definitely feel like I can hit Plat by the end of the season. Ranked today, I'm CST. Yeah, I mean, depending on what time. So I'm actually going, right now it's 151. Right after the stream, I'm actually heading to my nonnos. I promised him I would go watch the Champions League game with him. He's going to make us some prosciutto sandwiches, some tomatoes. It's going to be a great time. We're going to watch some soccer. I'm going to spend some time with him. And realistically, later tonight, I will be on. So just definitely hit me up. I would like to get a PC. The only issue is building a good... Yeah, amen. I mean, the PC I'm running right now is 4 years old. And at the time I built it, I want to say with all the parts I put in, I got it made for me. I think I ended up paying 3,500 Canadian. So they're no joke, man. They are expensive for sure. Texas Hold'em's so fun. It's all I play at the casino. Amen. It's like, honest to God, like, whenever I play poker, I'm always one of the best of my friend group. Even if I'm not winning a game, I'm always within the last couple. And to be honest, I hate to be that guy, but when I do lose, most of the time it's just variance in hands. Like, I'm entering a big time hand situation with more equity than my opponent, and they're just kind of running me dry at times with the turns and rivers. So it is what it is, but I definitely do feel confident on that game. Watching these old poker tourneys is the best way to learn. Oh, amen, bro. And especially when you're watching, like, if you guys watch, for example, Doug Polk, he really breaks down the math of poker. Like, I'm fascinating with, okay, when I'm entering this hand, what are my current odds? What are my implied odds? What can I win? What are my bet sizings properly for this hand? When obviously, of course, you want to bet polar, but you also want to bet to keep people in hands. Like, it's just understanding your sizings, understanding your situations, man. Like, it's the ultimate strategy game. And that's kind of when I want to get better at chess. It's the only problem every time I try to get on chess, man. Like, I just get dumpstered because I just have no clue how to play the game. But it's just such a learning curve type of game where I definitely love the strategic side of some of these games for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely a nerd, a Bob guy. If you didn't realize, like, yeah, I played football. Yeah, I'm a big guy. Yeah, I can bench 375 pounds. So at face value, you would think, oh yeah, this is just a plain old football jock. But at the same time, man, I do get nerdy. I had an absolute poker phase as well. Yeah, dude, once I got 18 or 19, man, like for a 3-year stretch, all I did was just watch poker videos to try to continue getting better. Screenshot your name. I'll add you tonight. Amen. Yeah, I will screenshot your name after the stream too. That's actually a good point. Or better yet, Neil, yeah, just send me the name as well. That would make sense too. Pionia for real. Thank you. Dashy's underrated. You get it, bro. You get it. If there is one AR, in my opinion, that can compete with Scrap and Celium at both of their peaks, Dashy's peak is up there with all those guys. Now, you can make the argument that he's more volatile than Scrap and Cell. I would agree with you that. I mean, there's literally the Celium index for a reason. This guy goes positive or even or better in like 95% of his series. But when Dashy's on and just ripping people off of headies, you're just not beating him. You're not beating Optic. You're not beating them. Did you ever run Fort? Oh, that was another thing. So if you guys aren't familiar, when I dropped out in grade 12, I got up to like 300 pounds. I didn't go to school. I didn't go out. Like I was bad at one point. So if you guys are out there and you're younger than me, I'm 24 currently, and you want to hear some motivation, like what we're doing right now, man, was never always the case. Like there was a period of my life, there was a year of my life where I was just lost. So, but during that period, it was around when Fortnite came out. I stopped going to school. I stopped going out. I stopped working out. I just played Fortnite straight for like a year, it kind of felt like. And I want to say in the first couple seasons of Fortnite, I had like 300 wins. I'm completely washed right now for the record. Like, I don't even know if I have the game downloaded, but there was a time like back in the OG Fortnite days where like I was winning every other game. I remember me and my one buddy, we would always duo squad. So we would duo queue squads. We would just run us two versus entire squads. And we would drop like 30, 35 plus kills combined just running those streets. Poker at the Lodge and Doug Polk's Casino, and they always do live streams. Always a great watch. Yeah, I definitely got to visit the Lodge personally. That looks like a ton of fun. Let's run Fort. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to re-download the game, and if you're interested, definitely we will run it for sure. I gotta re-download it first. I don't think I've touched the Fortnite sticks in like at least a year. But that was the only game I played for so long. Miss the OG Fortnite. Yeah, for real. Fort Ranked was great. I actually never played Ranked. Like when I grinded Fortnite, it was before Ranked. Like it was the like OG Fortnite days. Like the first season, I got like some of the OG skins, and people still ask me like, hey, like how do you have this skin? Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to transfer it onto my PC account, but on my PS4 account, like I have like all the skins you can think of, like from the first couple seasons, and I know those were worth a good bit of chunk change for a good time. Play solo duos. Yeah, dude, solo duo quads was so fun. I would always do it with duo because we'd always like we would kind of play like for kills. The other thing we would do is we'd do duo quads, but we would like wager other 2v2 groups. So it was always fun. Like we'd always just say, like, if you guys remember like the OG like Fortnite Fridays, like Keemstar would run where you would get like the duo squads across the map, and they would just be trying to compete for kills. That's kind of like what I would do with my boys. Play Fort after the season's over. Worst season ever. Yeah. Okay, bet. Sounds good. I'll definitely re-download it for next season. Haven't played in a year as well. Used to grind creative like a nerd. Yeah, that was the thing. Before people just got crazy in terms of building, like I had a build advantage until I didn't. Like I could build and I could gun people in the OG days. And if you knew how to do that originally, like you were going to win a lot of your games. Like I was winning at one point 40 to 50% of my Fortnite games. And then it got to the point where like creative came out and like all these 13-year-olds, that's all they did for 8 hours a day. And like I hop back on, I'm like, oh, well, it's not just going double ramping people and shotgunning on them. Like people are actually like building towers now. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of when I flip. Now, obviously I could build a 1x1. Like that's not hard, but the way that, especially with the turbo building, the way people got it at the end of that, when I started grinding, like, that's when I realized it was time to hang up the sticks on the Fortnite. Now, obviously, every now and then, especially because of the skill-based matchmaking, it kind of feels like was added in. Like I'll load up and I'll just like beam bots off their heads, no problem. But yeah, it's definitely not what it was at its peak. But either way, I appreciate you guys for just shooting the shit with me for like the last 20 or so minutes since Corey got off. Again, if you leave a like, whether it's for the draft itself, you guys enjoyed the draft, whether it's for the COD talk, the Fortnite talk, just shooting the shit with the boys. I mean, that's the vibe we're trying to give, man. I'm 24 years old. I'm not some like, oh, like games are dumb. Like, no, like I've played games throughout my life. I enjoy that shit. So if you guys want to talk some more at the end of the streams, feel free to let me know. I'll definitely make some timestamps for the future for sure. And people are really out here building Burj Khalifas yeah, no, it's actually absurd, bro. It's fucking absurd. But either way, I'm going to sign off. Appreciate you guys. Again, 312 of you still in here. Like I said, whatever part of the stream you enjoyed, the COD talk, the Fortnite talk, the draft talk, all that nonsense. If we gave you some value, make sure you leave a like. It does help us in the YouTube algorithm. We are on the road to 50,000. We're just about, I believe, 8.5 thousand off. So if you guys are not subscribed, make sure you do so as well. But I will sign off. I will get to my nonos. I am also marved, and I cannot wait for that sound of that prosciutto and cheese on a nice panino. So take care, boys. Love the vibes of the stream. And yeah, enjoy your... What's today? Saturday? Enjoy your Saturdays. Enjoy the rest of your weekends.